That's our signal to start.
Oh, are we good?
Yeah,
Sweet.
we're good. We're totally good. So, dude, are you
Okay.
ready to talk about the worst anime ever made?
We're mostly talking about the manga.
Well, yeah, okay. I just said anime
And
because it's the
Fairy
most.
Tail's anime is better than most big shonen anime. It's an
Uh,
actual.
I mean, the thing
It's
is, like, when it comes to like the stuff like the pacing or like even the animation, like maybe it doesn't have as much highs as some of the others, but like it
the
does.
animation doesn't as many. The pacing's better than a lot of other ones, though.
Yeah, that's true. I think the pacing only like stops getting good like near the end, like the final few seasons. I think.
I wouldn't know because I've seen everything except the final saga, so I don't know if it's garbage or not.
Okay. Well, it just does a lot of things that we wished like One Piece per se would do, or so
Yeah, we'll
what some
get to
people
that.
what some people say One Piece does, but it
Yeah,
doesn't.
we'll get to
But anyway,
that.
dude, isn't it amazing that Mashima is an actual like content machine? Like
hmm
he doesn't sleep.
Yeah, no, because people like to shit on Mashima, which is weird because even if you don't like his series, this man is actually a marvel. Because Togashi, the author of Hunter x Hunter, he released something that's like this is how much an average mangaka gets of free time per week, and it was like 8 hours for the whole week, right?
Yeah.
Um, Mashima currently, in the past few years, Mashima has been writing and drawing Eden Zero himself,
Yep.
and he has also been storyboarding, not illustrating, but storyboarding, so the rough drafts
Yeah.
for Fairy Tale Century Quest himself.
Yeah.
And on top
Bi-weekly
of that,
manga.
he's been supplying artwork for video games. He's been learning how to make video games himself. He made a a mini RPG Maker version, like the fancy version of RPG Maker
Yeah.
of Eden Zero. And not only that, he briefly did a couple volume crossover run between Rave Master, Fairy Tale, and Eden Zero. And currently, he
He's
also
doing a
has a
monthly
monthly
manga too,
series. Yeah, he has a
called
monthly
Dead
manga right now.
Rock.
So
It's
Mashima's a fucking monster.
yeah, I know.
and
It's
you
like wow,
and
he's out
people
like
say fucking quantity over quality. No, he's just a fucking beast.
it's not even like he's the first. Like I think a lot of people like compared him to like Tezuka, where it's like yes, he has that level of output.
Or
He's
I
gonna
think
die young probably.
it may have been the Inuyasha author. I think she also is a fucking menace. But it's kind of just that's just a fun fact about Majima. He's like a machine. He's built to make manga. And the other thing is he always seems to have free time because he'll always be like, "Oh yeah, and this afterwards." So if you're a One Piece fan, like an SBS, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I played way too much of this video game in the middle of writing a weekly
Like
series."
I
And then
think it
it's
was
"You
like, dude,
did?"
I finished the latest Final Fantasy remake game. Wow, what a
And
game!
it's like, "When did you do
The
that?"
fuck?
He does so much. It's actually crazy. Or just fun random Mashima fun fact. There's this video on YouTube. You can probably find it if you look up Mashima playing at concert. The people who did I think the third Fairy Tale opening, um, he went on stage with them and helped play guitar when they sang the opening at a concert because
Yeah, no,
Mashima's the
that's just
coolest man
cool.
ever.
I know he's just like literally a machine. He's
Yeah,
living the
he's
dream.
he's just so cool.
I know.
And he's got the S tier work ethic where people are like, "How do you always write?" And he's like, "I view myself as a shit artist, so I don't view working as work. I view it as improving." He's one of those.
Yeah. All right,
And
now,
Mashima's just
yeah.
awesome. Oh, also he has a YouTube channel.
All right, yeah, and he'll just
He
he posts like Twitter art all the time, which he just makes for fun.
hmm
Like like characters from like Fairy Tail, Eden Zero, whatever, and
Yeah.
he'll just like also have a YouTube channel where he just draws them live.
Yeah, I think the two coolest things he did on his YouTube channel are he did a couple videos where he would just walk around cosplay events and say hi to people and scare the shit out of them. And then also he uploaded a video where he played, I believe it was Gartic, with several other giant mangaka in his magazine, including the Ippo author. There's a big one, George Morikawa.
Yeah. Just wow,
That's
what
so
a
cool. That's such a cool fucking thing that he did.
I know. He's just a cool guy,
Yeah,
and
so yeah, Mashima,
it's kind of a
awesome
shame that
mangaka.
half the time someone's talking about Fairy Tale and they drag Mashima's name into it, they're just kind of shitting on the guy. Which
hmm
please don't.
Please don't. From all we can tell, he's a manga making machine who just has a lot of fun with his job.
Yeah, I mean, we made a 2-hour video about how we didn't like Citizens. I don't think we even brought up anything like personal or.
I don't even know the fucking author's name.
No.
I don't care.
He obviously doesn't care about 7 Deadly Sins the way I do.
No. Alright, so now we can actually talk about fun fact, which is fairy tale good.
Yeah. And let's just I know like if you're watching this, odds are you're a One Piece fan because algorithms, and also this is basically a One Piece channel. So you love foreshadowing, right, Cheeky? You said you were like sticky noting, right? So like, did you like sticky note foreshadowing things? Because I saw a lot.
I'll send you a pic. You could put that here if you want. Once I get a good compilation of all my books. But yes, I was tabbing a bunch of different things, and one thing I tabbed a lot was foreshadowing. Fairy Tail has a lot of fucking foreshadowing. Like even just in chapter one gigantic one is like I think the second character we ever see is some girl who's breaking a ball and fixing it. We later see her disguised as some fucking goober in like the third arc, and it's like, oh, I wonder who she is. And then later we see her helping the main villain of like the fifth arc, and it's like, oh, that's who she is. And then it's like, nope, fucking psych, she's working for this other giant villain. And then she comes back as actual like a main antagonist in like chapter like 280.
Yeah, I know, like, to put that in perspective, that'd be like if one of NL's priests was in chapter 1, and then he also appeared in Baroque Work Saga.
just there doing shit. That's really cool. And it has tons of little things like that.
Yeah. And that's not even that's not even like an uncommon thing, but like yeah,
it's just
cool.
Like fun fact, Fairy Tail does have foreshadowing, which I think is important to point out because people act like Mashima never planned anything ever.
Yeah, I mean, like there was something like he admits that some things like even when he
admits that there's some things he didn't fully plan out, but others he obviously did.
Yeah, but I mean, like
here's another gigantic one, Puff. Zeref, the second to final villain, the main antagonist of the final arc, is name dropped in like volume 2.
I can't say that for any of the big 3 or Dragon Ball.
Yeah, fucking what? Eam, Kaguya, Yubak? They never get fucking referenced even slightly. Goddamn Zeref name dropped in like volume 2. Even if you want to bring up Acnologia is introduced
like halfway through the manga, I think, right?
I think a little before halfway, but yeah, he's introduced like for a main villain, that's pretty for a final villain, that's pretty early on, all things considered.
Yeah, and like I have some small things in here, like Jura was name dropped in chapter 32, which is like way before he becomes relevant, right?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of shit like that.
Yeah, or like Natsu and Gajul can't pass Freed's beer. That was like a big one. Even like as I was a little kid watching, I was like, oh my god, there's some mystery there. There's some mystery there.
Or like how Natsu recognized Wendy's name, or another one is fucking.
Wait, wasn't that like one of the...
Guild Arts was first referenced after the fucking, like in the first 4 volumes, I think Guild Arts was first referenced.
Yeah, I mean it was very vague because they call him like the old man, and you could like if you're just reading for the first time, you might assume it's just Makarov, but they distinguish between the old man and
Lucy
Makarov.
has that guild hierarchy chart which separates the old man from Makarov to help you make sure you know they're 2 different people.
Yeah.
Even
that's neat.
Man, I'm pretty sure they say Guild Art's name by like the Laxus arc.
Yeah, neat stuff.
So just wow, Fairy Tail has foreshadowing. That's cool.
But does it have good characters though? I mean, what does it matter if the story's shit, right?
Yes, Lucy is like my 3rd favorite manga character ever.
The best female main character in shonen history? ?
Oh, I can say that with complete confidence. She's my favorite female manga character. Period.
Nah, she's great.
Yeah, no, I like Lucy a lot. No, because the thing is, like, Fairy Tail, like, one thing that people say is, like, is Natsu the main character, or is Lucy? And it's, like, both. Kind of.
Yeah, I know it's weird, because the thing is, whenever there's, like, a one-off chapter, it's about Lucy, but...
And, like, whenever there's, like, narration, it's Lucy.
Yeah, and then, like, but, like, Natsu's the guy who, like, he kind of, like, embodies the base idea of Fairy Tail the best, while also just being the guy who fights the final villain every arc.
Yeah,
but, obviously, I would say like in a literal sense it is Natsu, but like of like a lot of the times you might hear people say, "Well, X is the main character." I think Y is actually the main character. This is like actually a case where you can maybe make that, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
no. If you
valid.
like, if you think Lucy is the main character, that's a fine thing to think. Or if you think they're both the main character, that's a fine thing to think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Lucy is great because Lucy is one of the greatest examples of a character um, going from I'm cringe and weak and garbage to I'm strong and cool now, and they do it through the lens of of two really cool themes. One is friendship because she's basically a Pokemon trainer,
Yeah.
and the other is like fan service is unironically a big part of like Lucy's development as a
Oh no,
character.
it is. It's pretty great. It's probably like the most like subtle, like clever thing the manga's done with any character was like Lucy's sexuality,
Yeah.
unironically.
Because like the thing is like early on, Lucy basically has to fully rely on her spirits because she can't do shit with them. And there's like small things like when they fight the big ice gorilla, whatever it's a Vulcan, I think.
Yeah.
When she just relies on Tauros, Tauros gets his ass kicked. But when she goes out of her way to risk her life to save Natsu from falling, that's when Tauros gets up and saves them both. As in, her spirits are only good when she's good. You get more development like that, like she gains Force Gate closure, and then she like fist fights Sherry, shit like that.
Yeah.
And another, but then the way that's tied in is Lucy tries to use her body to just like basically seduce people. It's like her introduction too. And
Yeah.
the thing is, for 90% of the manga, it never works.
Yeah,
She gets
because
called
she
ugly.
because
It distracts someone for like half a second. They make fun of her, etc., etc. And that's interesting because Lucy isn't doing it because she has like full control over like her body and her strength. She's doing it as a last resort because she doesn't think she's capable of anything else. Compared to like Erza, who's completely
a girl
at least
boss.
later on, Erza is completely confident in her body and completely in control of it. So she will just fucking seduce people sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it's
then
like that's the thing. It's just like, oh, because they realize Lucy's not doing it because she wants to. She's doing it because she feels she has to. There's like they can literally smell the desperation coming off
Yeah.
her.
But then all of a sudden Lucy gets a star dress and all of a sudden she can fight with her body. She's able to like and the star dress is even compared to Urza's armor.
Yeah.
Lucy basically takes
That
after
half
Urza.
Mashima is just like reusing powers.
No. No, but guess what? Once Lucy starts taking after Urza, all of a sudden when she tries seducing people, it actually works.
Yeah.
Whoa, isn't that awesome? I
You
love
know,
Lucy so
like
much.
that was one thing that I caught in my review was like the Lucid and it worked. Was like what? It worked. I
Yeah, no,
remember that happening.
yeah, no, it's awesome. It's really fun. Or like even like a joke of that is when Urza's getting her ass kicked by Ozma. She thinks about using seduction armor as a last resort, and like it's a joke, but she's like, "I'm not Lucy," and it's like, yeah, that's the point. It doesn't work. Yeah, and then yeah, Lucy is also one of the best embodiments of like the friendship theme because
Yeah,
she's a Pokemon trainer.
yeah, it's like the big manga about friendship and the best characters about how well she works with other people. Like what there's a few like small details that I really like. Like Aquarius is like just like this kind of just loose cannon spirit she has. She summons her and then she just destroys everything in the area because she can't control Aquarius at all because Lucy sucks at this point. But the first time Lucy ever like actually manages to direct one of Aquarius's attacks, it's when she's like doing a team attack with Juvia, who's a water mage. So it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. The first time she manages to control her like rogue uncontrollable spirit is when someone else helps her out. That's kind of cool.
And it's also when she formed a strong bond with someone who is also like a rogue, uncontrollable enemy who hated her for very petty reasons. Just like Aquarius usually shits on Lucy for very petty reasons.
Yeah, and then when the two of them actually get to meet and talk, Aquarius and Juvia hit it off because they're the same character. They're very similar.
Or like another one I like is when they're getting their souls absorbed. Lucy, everyone's like, "Oh, what are the things most important to you?" And Lucy says, "My guild and my spirits." And she closes the gates on two of them, which almost kills the demon. And he's like, "What the fuck?" And then she fakes out closing the gate on Natsu, which is one, a really funny strategy because he lets go of Natsu. And two, it's like, "Oh, look at that! It shows how her guildmates are as close to her as her spirits because they're being treated on the same weight. That's so cool.
Yeah.
What a good manga." Yeah, and this, yeah, of course, the Star Dress is really cool because it's like Lucy being able to fully synergize with her spirits and also fight on her own 2 feet at the same time. It's very great.
Yeah, and a lot of Lucy's fights, like the enemies team seemed most of them are just about like controlling other people or objects in
Yeah, but
some
it's
way.
always to like different degrees.
Yeah, like at first, like it's her first big fight. Sherry's literally, I
Sherry, who
bring the
just
trees and
controls
rocks to
inanimate
life. I
objects.
bring trees and rocks to life, and then yeah, and then but then like I think the
You
next
fight
one,
Bixlow, who controls literal souls.
but he puts them into objects and then just uses them to shoot lasers and stuff.
Yeah, whereas the souls of the celestial spirits have free will. Like it's a progression,
Yeah, and then
and you
like
keep getting that progression.
and then like this is probably the first like really interesting one was Angel, who is also celestial spirit mage, and she like yeah
Right.
she understands the spirits are also people with personalities and all that, and then will use that to her advantage. Like when Lucy's like, Aquarius, nuke the board. She's like, nah, you're not gonna nuke the board when your boyfriend's here, Aquarius, right? Because I just summoned him.
Right. And it kind of shows like Angel understands spirits are lives, but matching my Pokemon joke, she views them through like type matchups.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much.
oh, I counter Aquarius with a Scorpio, I counter Loki with an Aries. And then the big reveal is that Lucy just rejects celestial magic and just fucking nukes her ass. Whereas like Lucy could win if she also engaged in type matchups, but rather than doing that, she picked the cooler method of Hibiki uploads hyper magic into her brain and then she blows Angel up. And
Yeah.
it's very fun. Um I think that's probably like everything we can say about Lucy without going like literally arc by arc through every single
Oh yeah,
fucking
no, like
thing
you
she
can talk
does.
about Edolas's thing, but it's more cool when you know about what Edolas is about, so we
Yeah,
can
like
sort of
Edel or like she has really good stuff in Grand Match games, but that's also very heavily tied to Grand Match games themes.
yeah. But long story short, epic parallel with this other character has
Yeah,
isn't that
what
nice?
a cool lady. And then I guess we can talk about Natsu now.
Yeah, Natsu, who
Okay.
see my perspective on this is very similar to like Zeref and Acnologia, where Zeref's really cool and interesting, and I could probably make a video about him, and then Acno's like, yeah, I like him. He's thin though compared to this other
Yeah.
guy. That's how I
Yeah.
feel about
The thing
Lucy
is
and
like
Natsu.
Natsu, like like Natsu's obviously has more substance than literally Acnologia. But like I get why people say Natsu is like a lame main character, but half the time that leads to them acting like he has literally nothing going on when that's not true.
Yeah,
Because
it's not.
Natsu does represent the core of the guild, because the guild is described as like a light of hope and like a warm. It describes three things: like a light of hope, a warmth for like people seeking shelter from like the storms of their shitty pasts,
Yeah.
and like a flame that'll burn down its enemies. And the point is, Natsu is all of those.
Yeah, no, he's at the same time both the warm like love of fairy tale along with the blazing angry passion about destroying stuff and being this chaotic force for good
Yeah.
kind of.
Or like even like an example is like outsiders, they'll go in like the fairy tale guild and they'll see them brawling like fucking idiots and it looks scary. It looks like a raging inferno of
Oh
nonsense.
my god, I recognize half the people here and all of them have destroyed a town before.
It's really scary. Yeah, it's fun. But whereas like I'd say the big exploration with Natsu is through the fact that fairy tale is known to be destructive, but Natsu specifically is known as the most destructive.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of Natsu's big foes explore the concepts of like destruction for different things. I'd say the first really big one is there's a couple, but one of the first really cool ones is when he fights Zero from Oracion Seis. Because the Oracion Seis arc is blah blah blah. It's about how good people can do bad things, about bad people can do good things, blah blah blah, harmony, hooray. Um, and the big thing is that the Guildmaster Zero likes breaking shit. He thinks it's fun. The whole point of his guild members is that they sealed him away because they're fucking scared of him.
Yeah.
um, and like he has a line where he's like, "If I see something with structure, I want to topple it."
Or like if it has form, I must destroy it. Like it
Yeah,
takes it
and
to a
then
very literal
yeah,
degree.
and then like Natsu is always pissed off and raging, and someone's like, "Oh fuck, is he gonna?" Because the big weapon turns good people bad and bad people good, and everyone's like, "Oh fuck, is Natsu gonna turn evil?" But what they explain is no, righteous fury, for the sake of a friend, will not turn you evil, and that's why the final battle is Natsu taking in Jallal's flames. Jellal, someone he used to hate but now accepts, and using that as a righteous fury to stop Zero. It's Natsu's destruction for a cause versus Zero's
Oh
aimless
my god,
destruction.
that reminds me. I have to put in another thing in our little list of orders here. I want to talk about Jellal specifically and compare
Oh
him to,
yeah,
yeah, to
yeah,
compare
because
it to that
Jalal's
other
cool
guy. Compare it to
compared to
that
a
other
certain
guy.
someone. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, we we're wondering a lot about whether we were gonna do like character by character or arc by arc. And we decided we're just gonna do both. We're just gonna do like the main five and then go to arcs.
Yeah, we're gonna go through characters that are interesting, and then arcs that are interesting, and then whatever other bullshit we think of.
Yeah.
Anything else with Natsu that I think I really want to point out? Because like he has more going on than destruction. I just think the destruction is the most interesting aspect.
Yeah, like there's some things like I really like Edolas Natsu and how like that plays in, but again, that's kind of a specific like if you know
Yeah,
what Edolas
and
is
I feel like
about.
that ties into like the greater theme of like what magic like is conceptually, thematically.
Yeah.
Another cool thing about Natsu's destruction is that Natsu's ultimate technique that we see him use a couple times during Alverez is burning magic.
Yeah.
Like we see him building on it, but we see him master it during Alvarez, which is that's the peak of Natsu's skills is being able to destroy other people's attacks, and that's super cool. And it's also how he beats Zeref.
Yeah, pretty
or,
cool
or,
stuff.
or like another thing is like Akinogi is like, ooh, I am also super destruction man. I want to kill everything that scares me. But then the one thing Acnologia couldn't give up was Acnologia turned into a dragon, the thing he hated. Acnologia destroyed his humanity for power, whereas Natsu gave up being both a demon and a dragon to be a human.
Yeah, it's a it's a very nice little like I hated dragons, but then I became what I hated, and now he's trying to kill all the dragon slayers because that's all that's left of the
Yeah,
dragons.
where
But it's
it's
like
like
now you're
Acnologia
just
is
literally what you've hate, man.
yeah,
But
where it's like
we're
Acnologia is so destructive he even gave up like his core values.
yeah.
Whereas Natsu wouldn't go that far. He does have that level of control, which you could even see how Natsu is fire, so condensed magic, whereas Acnologia is raw magic. It literally just evaporates things.
Yeah, and also another cool thing about the two is that like Acnologia, like he's just the magic dragon slayer. He can just eat all magic, like he's that powerful now. But like Natsu can only eat fire, and you know that because of that he can't do everything, which is why he needs his friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about friendship.
Yeah. I think that's good for Natsu.
Yeah, and then Erza.
For the complaints for Natsu, don't worry, we'll get to that in the dumb things people say about fairy tale
Yeah, we
section.
yeah the video's probably gonna be called like good fairy tale opinions, but we'll have bad fairy tale opinions at the end.
Yeah, that'll be a section.
Dude, how
So
cool is Erza?
dude, Urza's so cool, and not for the stupid reasons people say she. Well, admittedly, like when people say, "Oh, she's a cool lady who gets to do badass things," that
She's
is
a girl boss.
true.
She is a girl
That's
boss.
true, but that's not why she's a great character.
Well, that is half the reason
Urza's
why she's a great character.
no,
Like
but
I
there's but like
you're
people
saying.
act like that's all there is to her because they're weird.
I think it's more so just like they're not a nerd and they don't care
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the
they're
grand
not a
themes.
nerd, therefore I don't like them. No, because early on Urza's development is pretty simple. She wears armor to shield herself because she feels because she's scared to like expose
Be
herself around
vulnerable.
her friends.
Yeah,
And then through having to face Jellal and the Tower of Heaven, so the part of herself that she's been trying to hide and coop up the most, she's able to fight with outer armor and focus only on offense. But wait, she goes back to wearing her armor. It's because that's okay. You don't need to have your barriers down at all times. It's just that now she's comfortable doing that.
dude, I
And we
want
see
to.
that where like some arcs she does need her armor to win, but other times, like when she fights Ozma, she doesn't because her whole point is being vulnerable and willingly taking on all of her friends' magic in one attack.
Yeah.
But then when she fights like fucking Minerva, it's like Minerva, you're cringe. I'm gonna fucking cut you in half with my god armor.
Yeah, I know. Like it's kind of interesting. Like it's true that like the clear heart armor is what she uses to kill like half of her opponents. But like there is a reason why she chooses that one over like the armored ones. Or like there's a when the distinction is made, there's a reason
Yeah,
why.
and there's both a like logical and like a thematic reason that she had to pick that.
Yeah, like the first time she used a clear heart armor, which is actually one of the coolest fights ever. Like when I think of like classic shonen fights, like this goon literally just showed up and exists for this one fight and never
Oh,
shows
dude,
up
yeah,
again. This
Ikaruga's
is
great.
yeah, Ikaruga the dove. She's awesome. It's I cut through everything, so your armor is literally useless. And she's like, "Fuck, my armor is useless. What do I do?" Well, I guess I'll just go in without armor and just try and be a really fast, cool swordsman lady and just put everything into attack. And it's like, yeah, it's so cool. Good fight. Like it a lot.
Yeah, and Erza has a lot of fights like that.
Yeah, and it makes sense that she'd fight an opponent like that in the Tower of Heaven, where like literally, like my Lasad backstory about being
Yeah,
a
it's
slave.
it's it's
She
the part
literally,
where she's
she
the
literally
most
can't
vulnerable.
help but be vulnerable there. So it makes sense she'd fight an opponent that would just be able to tear through all of her armor
Yeah,
inside
and
that
then
tower.
that gets explored in different ways. Like she has a lot of stuff with like Jellal, shockingly.
Yeah.
Or like a big thing for her is like because she's open now, she's able to see through Jellal's like angsty bullshit and kind of like call him out on what he actually needs to do with his life. That's nice, and I
But
like
at the
it.
same time, now she gets easily embarrassed, and the only time wherever she like actually gets embarrassed about like I don't know her body or her sexuality, whatever, is around Jellal, which is a the boy she likes, and b the childhood dramatic past thing
Yeah,
that
so
you'll
it's like both. Isn't
yeah
that interesting?
yeah. Is that a little problematic though? I think Jalal's a
No, who
problematic
fucking
character.
can?
I think
Jellal
Jalal's a
thinks
problem.
he's too problematic. Jellal literally offers to kill himself like 7 times, and Urza's like, "Can you please stop with that fucking shit, dude?"
Is there anything else we could talk about without getting into the larger arcs?
Oh, one cool thing that Alvarez does is her sword sets start to take after her friends. I like that.
Oh, they do.
Or no, remember she has the swords that are like, oh, I have an ice sword just like Gray and a fire sword just like Natsu,
Well,
and
didn't
then
she? I
I
thought
have
she had those for like the longest time though. Like she had like her Fire Empress outfit since like
no, no, but no, those were different swords.
okay.
And then, or like she gets like an enchantment from Wendy that gives her Dragon Slayer magic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wendy. Yeah,
Dude,
Urza's just
it's
my
kind of crazy how much they lean on Wendy in the final arc.
dude. That's because
It's like,
Wendy's
listen, you
finally
just,
fucking a good
hey
enhancer.
man, did you just fight a top tier and you're like literally fucking dead? Don't worry, we got Wendy here.
Wendy has been training her ass off. That's fun. Then who else are we gonna talk about? Gray.
Gray, yeah, Gray
Gray's
is
great.
really cool.
No,
Uh,
I'd say Gray is kind of up there with Urza, where he's like one of the main characters that like people are smart enough to like still at least somewhat understand that he has something going on.
Yeah, and I feel like he works really well with like these two core themes of the story: grief and fear of the future. Because like Gray's whole like shtick is that he moves forward very very slowly. Because like ice thing, it's a common like it's common like metaphor for stagnation, like ice,
It's
like
ice because you're
frozen in place.
frozen.
Yeah, and like in the first
Gray
Gray
arc,
Gray
Galuna
arc Galuna
Island.
Island is really good. Leon is what I like to call like a Don Krieg tier villain.
Except Leon got to keep coming back and keep doing things.
Yeah, so basically Leon like is very interesting because the whole idea is like basically their master who taught them both ice magic died. She like turned herself into ice to encase this demon man into ice and like save save them from the demon whatever. And then Leon's like fuck, that's cringe though. I want to surpass her. How am I supposed to do that without either killing her or the demon? I'm going to unlock the demon. And Gray's like no, just like let the past stay in the past and we don't have to like actually prove that we surpassed her or whatever. That'd be going against her wishes. And it's like Gray, shut up. I'm gonna do this. And the whole idea is that they're both like feeling grief for her in very different ways. Like
And they're
Leon.
both stagnant in their own ways.
Yeah, like the thing
Where
is, Leon's trying to move forward uncontrollably, and like that's the thing. Like his ice
no,
make
but the
mag.
thing is, like, he keeps saying he's trying to move forward, but he's also not because he's still fixated on Deliora.
Yeah, like
Where he
and the
may
thing.
be moving, but he's moving towards the thing that they were already focused on. That's why Gray said Leon is like an animal stuck in a cage. Leon's moving, but he's moving within the tight framework from
Yeah, no,
that
no,
he
no.
trapped
This is
himself
this
in.
is the really cool thing is that like Leon's ice magic, like he specializes in making like basically like animals or like stuff ice magic that can move on its own. Like he'll make
Yeah,
like birds, a lion. Like the ice moves. Like that's the idea. It's like dynamic, but like with Gray, like his items are static. He like makes weapons. He makes yeah, he makes it's mostly like weapons and objects that he makes. But
yeah.
the thing he uses to defeat Leon is a cannon, like two static objects that like when put together in like a mechanism like creates movement and momentum and stuff. And it's like oh, Gray can move. He just
Yeah,
it
and
just
that's why, like the next time Gray and Leon team up, the weapon Gray uses to win the fight is like a bow, something similar.
Yeah, and this is one thing I really like about Leon is that when he does his ice make magic, they were taught by to use two hands. You know, that's the proper form. But he says, "Look at me, I've surpassed her. I can do it with one hand." And that
I'm
ends up
so fucking
that
cool.
yeah, no, it's like this childish way of him being like, "Hey, I'm so cool. I'm showing off." And it's like, no, Leon, that's not right. You're being too reckless with this for
Yeah,
the
and
sake of
that's like the
trying to
caged
prove how
animal thing
cool you
again,
are.
where like
Yeah.
it looks like he's making progress, but he's just going in a circle. He's just going back to something he did as a kid, which was try to be a stupid show off for no reason.
Yeah, and that's basically like a motif that stays with Gray for most of the series. That a lot of his enemies have something to do with like momentum or like movement.
Yeah, or like when they don't, they have something else going on. But yeah, like
Yeah,
a big one is
yeah, like Sawyer when they fight Sawyer together. Leon and Gray team up against Sawyer. My favorite character, Sawyer. That's his name,
you
Sawyer.
can call him Eraser, so people at least know who you're talking about.
No, okay, so the cool thing about Sawyer is that like he has super speed. You know, he moves so fast, but and Gray's like like my ice will slow you down and stuff. And then the big twist at the end is Sawyer doesn't actually move very fast. He slows everyone else down, which is like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, that's kind of like a neat thing. You know, they're doing the momentum thing. And
yeah.
one of Gray's final opponents uh, is called. His name is Invel, who's also an ice mage, and he doesn't even make like objects or weapons or anything. He doesn't use ice make magic. He says he has true ice magic, which just literally freezes everything. Like
Yeah,
even
so
I,
he has the power of cold.
yeah, the power of cold, and literally all he does for most of the fights is just literally freeze things over, and like that he stops things from moving completely. So they it kind of continues that idea, and Gray has to find a way to move within like this completely frozen state and stuff like that.
Yeah, or like how like one big thing Envel does is like he tries to trap him and Juvia in like something where there's only one outcome, which would be Gray killing Juvia. But they find an outcome that goes outside of like the trap that he came up with.
Yeah, it's a
Or
cool
like
moment.
another like static moving object one is when Gray fights his dad.
Yeah,
and
like
Gray wins with and Gray wins. That one's so cool because it's like literally like the final attack is literally like the character development attack where it's like, hey, I'm going to use the ice shell to kick your ass, and then he's like, okay, I'll just hit you, and Gray's like, ha, I've learned to be more open than that, and then he's like, oh well, I'll just overpower your ice shell, and Gray's like, ha, dumbass, I learned ages ago not to kill myself.
I'm not
I'm gonna
using
hit
ice
you with
shell.
the
This was a
fucking
triple fake out.
cannonball.
No, it's not even a cannonball. It's like a baseball. He literally pitches it like a
Oh,
baseball.
you're right. It's just
Over.
a big iron ball that he fucking chucks at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like another good example of how like it's great literally showing his progress. Or like one thing he always says is I'm the one who melted the Sun Village. Is like that was a huge progress for that's an interesting like one of Gray's biggest actual like power progressions as an ice wizard is not being able to freeze something but being able to melt something.
Yeah, it's very
He's
interesting.
able to melt something and give something else movement.
Yeah, and that kind of like the whole like idea of like moving forward but slowly like is very important for the stuff for like Juvia, where like that's the whole shtick. Juvia wants to fuck, and he's like, I don't know about this. He's very flaky about it, or like he's outright like denies her first, but then like slowly warms up to her. But he is like flaky up until like Tartaros, where it's like, all right, fine, let's live together for a whole
Yeah.
year.
And even then he's
Yeah,
still
like he's
flaky
still
about it.
he's still like it's like yeah, you could be my girlfriend, but I'm not gonna share I love you. I'm not gonna share the L word. I don't
I'm
like
not
the L
gonna
word.
touch you.
Let's not
Get
talk
away
about the L
from me.
word. Let's not
No,
talk about
oh
the
no,
L
but
word.
here's actually a really good example of reincorporating the Galuna Island themes.
What?
During the Grand Magic Games, Erza's like, you need to give Juvie an answer. You're being a dick. And he's like, I know. And then Leon appears. And it's the same thing again. Leon, because he's active, pursues Juvia. Whereas Gray is a static nerd, just lets Juvia flame herself at him without doing anything. But then at the end, Leon realizes he was not accomplishing anything because Juvia didn't like him. And Gray actually moves and tells Juvia to fuck off. They're reincorporating the Galuda Island themes, except for like a gag
This
romance, and
stupid
that's
love triangle.
genius. Yes, they reincorporate it for a gag romance, and that's fucking hilarious and genius. It's so smart.
I know. Gray's great. I like Gray.
Yeah. And I don't think we need to talk about Wendy because she's just the least complex, and also a lot of her shit is
Yeah,
in Century Quest,
yeah, I
which we're
know.
not done rereading.
Yeah, and okay, so basically, long story short, Wendy is the child in the group, and her job is to be like a little sister to everyone and slowly learn from them and gain more self confidence.
Yeah, like,
Like,
oh, one
one
of
of
her
her.
fights is with like a time wizard who makes her and her young friend do the conundrum of if they're willing to give up their future potential.
Yeah. And
Like
I was
that's
gonna actually gonna I
unusual.
was just gonna be a lot more straightforward and say like one of her big moments is literally just like unlocking a power up that her two other Dragon Slayer buddies
That
already got.
that Natsu used in like the fourth arc.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I'm so glad little Wendy's like making progress, getting it
Yeah.
in. Like I remember like in her first arc in the Oracion Seis arc, like her big moment at the end is literally just throwing an attack for the first time.
Just a basic roar.
Yeah, just like you have the power of
Which
a
is
dragon
Natsu's
inside
first,
of
which I'm
you.
pretty sure is Natsu's first named attack.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, it's like yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then
All right. And with the main five characters out there, we can get into some specific arcs. Would you like to talk
woo.
about the Tower of Heaven?
Okay, we can talk about Tower Heaven.
All right. So
It's-
basically, like friendship. Yes, it's the main core theme of the is friendship, but also the sanctity of life is like right behind it.
Yeah,
Like I'd say
Tower
that,
of Friendship.
let's just talk about this
introduced,
now.
one
Like
of
the,
Fairy
basically
Tail's
all the
core
all the
themes.
core themes is like the sanctity of life, grief and death, fear of the future or like moving forward into the future, stuff like that. And that's I'd say that's the big three, right? Or I guess like found family too, but
and
that's
then
like
there's
friendship.
and then there's like crossover and like people are always like, "Oh my goodness, why does Fairy Tail never have characters die?" And like literally in Tower of Heaven, it's a crossover between sanctity of life and friendship, where they don't even say like, "Oh, it's not optimal to die for your friends." They outright say, "Dying for your friends sucks, and you're an asshole if you do that. You should live, dumbass."
The thing is, I feel like it's just sort of like people don't get it because if you watch Fairy Tail, you're probably like a One Piece fan or a Naruto fan, and a big thing in those series like Will of Fire, Next Generation. If you're old, fucking die in a cool way, and you'll be remembered forever.
Whereas Fairy Tail is openly like, no, fuck you. You should live forever because that's what makes your friends happy. You know who dies? Assholes die. Like the only characters who are like good or redeemed in any way who are allowed to die are like Silver, Zeref, and Mavis, and that's all for the same reason. They're older than they should be. They are essentially walking corpses. They're not people sacrificing themselves. These are people who should be dead who are forced to be alive.
Yeah, the thing is, I've actually like made a small list of like people who like sacrifice their lives to do something, and I think literally only one turned out to like be helpful, and I think it's Ultir, who like was like such a big villain that like
Also, she didn't die. She's
yeah,
fine.
that's
She's
the
just
thing. She
old.
didn't die. She just turned into an old lady. But like it was literally like I am the worst criminal on the planet. This is kind of the only way I can atone for what I did, more or less. And then, like yeah, that's it. Like you could point to like maybe Simon, but even then Simon like he had like 50 decisions to make that could have maybe taken things to a better course before he decided to sacrifice himself. So yes, he
Yeah, and
died.
even then, the whole point is like Simon's sacrifice,
It was short
while it
lived.
did a lot of good, also did all of the harm that it warned about. Like, Simon is Jallal's biggest regret is that he killed Simon. And Simon is also Erza's biggest regret. And guess what? Both of those regrets come to pass with Kagura.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about Jellal now. Just
Yeah, he's a character. We probably should.
yeah, he's the main villain. Basically, Jalal's the worst person ever in the Tower of Heaven, which is like, yes, I'm gonna continue building the stupid tower that brings someone back to life by
But
making a
I'm
bunch
going
of slaves.
to do it with humane slave labor.
Yes, it'll be slightly better slave later
No,
than
no,
we had in
no,
your
Puff,
sad
I think,
backstory.
no,
So.
Puff, I think the way Jellal describes it is like, pre-Jellal, it was like chattel slavery. Post-Jellal, it's like indentured servitude. Conditions are not good, but they are better.
Yeah, so basically, like, the whole arc's about, like, the sanctity of life, and, like, I like how the council speaks during the whole thing, like, the R system is an affront against life itself, it brings someone back to life, that's not the natural, we have to make sure the children understand that life matters, and to do that, we're gonna stop the R system by nuking the countryside and killing 1,000 people, and then it's like, oh, wow, that's kind of a strange way to put that,
Yeah,
and,
like,
every
Yajime,
time...
I think is his name, or Yajima. Like, that's what he yells. He's like, what about all of the people you're gonna fucking kill?
Yeah, and it's like they basically is like don't kill people for the greater good. Like that's even like from Jallal's perspective, he wants to kill a bunch of people to bring back Zeref, which is his greater good.
No, that's actually something I think is interesting. The R system, by Jallal's own admission, only needs to kill one person the council was actually more was like willing to bloody their hands more than Jellal was.
Yeah, the thing is, like, every time a character decides, I'm gonna sacrifice my life, or I'm gonna sacrifice someone else's life to stop Jellal, they literally just end up playing into his hands. Like, when the council decides, we're gonna nuke the countryside, it's like, oh no, Jellal wanted us to do that. He took the nuke and then turned it into a big fucking energy source. Oh no. or like,
But yeah,
when
or like when Erza's like, I'm gonna die with you, Jellal. I'm gonna go down with you. And he's like, okay. And he's like, dumbass, I put a binding spell on you. Fucking
no,
moron.
it's like, we're gonna die together when this nuke comes down. It's like, fuck here, no nuke's coming down. What are you
And
talking
then the
about?
nuke doesn't come down, and she's like, "Oh, the nuke didn't come down." He's like, "Yeah. Also, you're stuck now. I'm gonna sacrifice you, idiot."
Yeah, or like when Simon says, "Oh, I'm not gonna tell anyone about what I know about Jellal. I'm gonna bear the burden myself." And then like the situation just got worse and worse until he sacrificed himself to try and save Erza and then died. And it's like, wow, he didn't have to do that, you idiot, Simon. And then Jellal cackles to him, like right in front of him.
Yeah, like he openly cackles, and he's like, "Wow, you didn't do shit, dumbass."
Yeah, and like this is basically the reason why Makarov doesn't die throughout the whole story. I think, like they definitely could have gotten away with it if they wanted to do it, and there's certainly they certainly made a bunch of opportunities for him
Yeah,
to
but
die
basically,
or almost
because
die.
the only way it could happen, like thematically consistently at this point, Puff, is A, Makarov doesn't kill himself, someone kills him, or B, and this is what I want at this point, just let him die of old age,
Yeah,
honestly.
no,
Because in
that's what I
Sentry
was gonna
Quest,
say.
he's just this little old man in a wheelchair. Let him die of old age, please.
Yeah, I know. Like that's the thing is like I understand if you're like annoyed by like, oh, they faked out his death so many times or they had so many close calls, and it's like, yeah, I just think like it's hilarious at this point that he literally made it to the end and he's still in the wheelchair and
Dude,
he's okay.
I'm so happy for like
I know.
it almost
And the
makes me
thing
like,
is,
kind
and
of
the thing is,
happy.
at this, like, once you like do it like 4 or 5 after like the third fake out, I think I'm like at this point, all right, if they're actually gonna kill him, it can't just be I'm gonna sacrifice myself to do the thing, because then it's just like, all right, then why didn't you do it at any of these other earlier points? I think that just make the story like worse or more awkward. I really do think the only way you can do it now is either he dies because a villain killed him outright, or B, he just let him die in his bed surrounded by his family, and it'd be the sweetest scene ever.
Did you
And
just let Makarov like die a normal old man death, please?
yeah,
It'd be nice.
it would be so nice.
I'd be so happy. Also, one thing is like with Makarov, a lot of people want him to die for the same reason people think like Rayleigh's gonna die. It's because they think old man in anime must perish.
Yeah, I know, it's like the like again like the Naruto One Piece thing where it's just like, or like I guess like a common theme, just like, yes, if you're old, die in a cool way and you'll be remembered forever.
It's a rule. It's like, listen, man, it happened in Bleach, Dragon Ball, technically, and Naruto. Therefore, it has to happen in everything else.
And it's a very
Dragon
cool
Ball.
trope. I like that trope where old men die in cool way and
Yeah,
is remembered
but
forever.
like they don't have to, man. Someone can get like a happy death.
Like things, I'd say like that idea of like dying in a cool, spectacular way, like, you know, like your life goes out in a blaze of glory, is like a more romantic idea. But I think realistically, fairy tale has a more responsible and realistic idea
Which is
where
like
no, death
fucking
is
don't.
cringe. Death is cringe.
Yeah,
Don't do it.
and I like that.
Yeah.
And then what other arc were we gonna talk about?
You want to talk about the Battle of Fairy Tale, just so you can
Okay, a battle fairy tale is so that I can quickly summarize. Basically, the villains in this arc are a very good way for me to describe how the villains in every fairy tale arc work. We have the big boss, Laxus. What does Laxus want? Laxus wants to change the guild because he doesn't like the way it currently runs. What do Laxus's goons represent? His ideals. You have Freed, whose whole thing is supposed to be absolute rules that you have to follow to a T. Except the trick is, Freed's rules are unfair and benefit him. He can rewrite them whenever he wants. And at the end of the day, he kind of doesn't even want to follow his own rules.
yeah.
Like, he doesn't even like the kind of bullshit rules he's made up. You got Bixlow, whose whole thing is, haha, I should be able to control things like, just
His
controlling people. I should
dolls.
be able to
Yeah.
control people like puppets. They should follow my every whim. And then you have Evergreen, whose whole thing is she's like, oh, the stupid hot girls would be better as statues, or like her big thing is fighting Erza for the
For
title of
title.
Titania, because her thing is like clout. Because that's another big problem with Laxus. He's mad about the guild's reputation.
Yeah, no, Evergreen's like this idea, like, we need to appear badass and cool and like very suave to everyone else in the world, so that they know not to mess with us. and stuff like that. And so yeah,
Yeah,
he's
which is all very. That's why I like how Evergreen after this is kind of just like a fail girl.
oh no,
Like
she is.
she's just like she's like if a normal girl tried to act like Erza.
She
Like
is.
I
It's a
think
funny
about
way to
like when
put it.
Laxus beat up Tempester and she's trying to be like, haha, I'm gonna BDSM him, and Bixlow is just like, you're embarrassing yourself. Whereas if Urza did that, that would be treated like a serious scene, and I think that's just very funny. And then Laxus also has his own gripes on top of that. Like one thing is Laxus actually kind of fucks with Natsu because Laxus and Natsu both have this innate, very childish desire to beat the shit out of everyone to prove they're the strongest.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, competitive is good. It's cool. That's why Natsu does it. But Laxus, you're taking it maybe a step too far there. Slow down there, buddy.
Basically, that you can imply that type of logic to anything. Like Tartaros, Smart Gear, hates humanity, and all of his little goons represent that in some way or another. You can apply this to every arc.
Yeah. I want to talk about Oracion and Seis for a bit, just because I think this was easily the weakest arc in the story.
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah, no, basically,
Fucking editor.
I know. Okay, so Mashima was planning to have a bunch of backstories for like basically the Oracion Seis. They were also supposed to be in the Tower of Heaven as slaves. That was a big
Which
part of the backstory.
they do mention later.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you don't get that at all in the manga, at least until like they mention it later, and like
Not
the anime.
until not until I think Tartaros,
Yeah,
where
so
they
like
say our quests started in a cruel tower, and it's like, oh, okay.
yeah, and then like basically the anime like they literally the anime Janies came in and they had to say, all right, we're just gonna slowly we're just gonna insert them all here as soon as they're defeated. They're flashback to like their passing the tower and like what their wish was, because what their wishes were is kind of like a thing. Like basically the idea is that like if we can't have our wishes if we're defeated, we'll then fuck the world, which is why Zero comes out when they're all defeated. Is when like
Yeah,
they didn't get what they wanted, so we're just gonna nuke it because that the world hates us, we hate the world, so
yeah,
yada yada. So like yeah, that's cool, I get it, but also they didn't have the backstories there, and that hurts the arc a lot.
yeah. It does,
Yeah,
and that's actually why it's really cool how, or like during Tartaros, which is a much better arc, he mentions that like three villains were cut, but then we get to goddamn Alverez, where the opposite happens, where he said, "My editor wanted me to only have six Spriggan, but I, through the power of being annoying, convinced him to let me have all 12."
thing is,
And that's good.
I definitely feel like I wouldn't have minded if he just cut it down to like the most important six or whatever,
But
or
all
seven.
no, but the funny thing is, like, I think what you could do instead is you keep all of them, but only a couple of them get the title of Spriggan.
That'd be a fun way to. It's like, I am part of the Invel squad, his
No,
second in
because
command.
yeah, like some of the Spriggan have like a bit lamer than others.
Yeah. Like, Agil is very simple. We can get to that when we talk about Alvarez,
Yeah, we'll
whatever.
get to that.
Yeah, okay, so then next is Edolas, which is about colonization and self worth.
Okay, Edolas is so cool because it's so fucking blatant, and I love it. Because here's the plot to Edolas: a giant, ruling class monarchy country literally rips the populace from another nation and turns them into an energy supply. That is so not subtle
No, I
that I
remember, like,
kind of love it.
I remember in like the King's intro scene where he's showing off the big energy crystal to everyone in the city. He's like, we're gonna get way more than this, boys. It's gonna be so great. The future is now. And then like he just slams it with his little cane, and
Yeah.
then a piece falls off, and like they're watching this in
And Natsu's like about to go insane.
I know, he's like, oh, he literally slapped Gray in the face. He literally just
Yeah, because
chipped
that was
Gray off
Gray.
the
So he just ripped off Gray's toenail. What an asshole.
yeah.
and
You know,
and
I was just like, man, that's such a One Piece villain thing to do. I love this
it
art.
is. Or like another, or like the other cool thing with Edolas is like, but then they're like, but we need your magic. We need it to survive. But then we see the difference of like, even when they do have magic that they colonized, they don't use it for good things. All the poor people are still sucking ass, whereas the rich people literally have an indoor amusement park run on magic.
I know, it's like they make it clear that like the king's doing it just to keep people in the capital happy with him, and like so that they don't try and overthrow him. Like the people, like commoners closest to him, just like the king, and all the ones
Yeah.
that aren't close to him like get fucked because who cares? I need to conserve magic. I'm already spending too much on the Ferris wheel. I gotta budget this out somehow.
And then there's also colonization on top of that, where all the X-Seeds tried to colonize the humans, but the humans went full militaristic and ended up kicking their asses too.
Yeah, like, another thing is the thing is colonization and self worth kind of go hand in hand here because basically the whole idea is that like yeah we need magic, we need the energy source, we need something external to make our lives valuable and worthwhile, and the whole point is like no, that's cringe, stop it, and like that's basically shown like basically like the main characters they have magic within themselves, not just like because that's because we have self confidence and it's like that with the Exceeds too. Like Happy and Carla like forget how to fly when they first enter Edolas, but then they get it back when they like rediscover who they are and all that, and they
Yeah.
have confidence again. And yeah, that's basically like the way Erza ends her fight against evil Erza. Oh, by the way, the people in Edolas, it's literally like a separate, not a
It's
separate dimension.
great.
It's
I
it's
love it.
it's literally like you have everyone is a doppelganger. So like when Urza's fighting herself, it's like hey we're both out of magic but we're still alive, right? And it's like yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, we
Edolas
can.
actually has another really cool example of something that was cut that the anime mentioned. The king is supposed to be Makarov.
Yeah, all right, that's
And
what
the
that's.
in the anime makes that a lot more clear. Or like, oh, I just heard another reason Oracion Seis was weak. Fucking Aragorn was supposed to come back as a jobber who gets his clothes stolen by Jellal, but then his editors made him cut it.
But the anime Janie's cleaned him up, right?
No, no, yeah, hell yeah. That
Good
exact thing
job, anime
happens.
Janies. Love the anime Janies.
No,
Dude,
because
we
that's the
should
thing.
we
It's
should
like
grab all the anime Janies that are working for Fairy Tail and just bring them over to One
no,
Piece. So
but the thing is, like, it's not the animation staff. It's the fact that, unlike One Piece, where people lie, Mashima, whenever he gets something cut, does just go and tell the anime staff and be like, "Hey, I wasn't able to include this." And then he's like, whenever I say that, the animation director's eyes light up, like he's happy that he gets canon
yeah,
filler to work with.
yeah, they're in the volume extras over there. He actually talks about working with the anime staff, and he even storyboarded some episodes, which is like
Which is
insane to me.
fucking crazy.
How the fuck you doing? You thought you had a weekly schedule? I thought you had a weekly manga to draw. What are you doing storyboarding for the anime? Huh.
So yeah, Edolas is just
The
like,
thing is, I think my favorite detail in Edolas was actually Edolas Natsu because
hell
basically the
yeah.
idea that when we first meet him, Edolas Natsu's like, yeah, I'm the fireball, I'm super cool guy, super confident, I'm super cool, and it's like, wow, he is just like Natsu. But then as soon as he leaves his car, he's a little bitch boy because he needs the car. And, like that's the idea is that
Mhm.
like Natsu, like he doesn't need a fancy car or anything. He's got his own confidence and stuff. But like this
But
Natsu
no,
doesn't. He needs the
but
car.
it's also
He
like the
needs the
funny joke
valid.
of
He
like
needs the
they
external
both.
validation.
No, it's also like the difference in like the insecurity of like, yeah, Natsu just like him, because the idea is like when Natsu's in a moving vehicle, he's weakened, but the difference is even then Natsu's not weakened because like, oh, I'm insecure because I don't have magic. He's weakened because like I am in immense physical pain.
Yeah, and like we see that later, like in the Grand Magic games when he has to do that event, like on a moving
The
vehicle, he doesn't
chariot
give. Yeah,
race.
yeah, he doesn't give up. He's like, all right, I'm fucked because of my motion sickness, but I'm gonna keep going because I'm cool like that.
Yeah. Where it's like, yeah, even the joke is like, even though he's like a joke parallel of Natsu, he's still like more pathetic.
Yeah, and like in this arc, another great thing is that Lucy wins like a fight just by herself without her spirits at all, just with a whip, and she beats one of the villains with it. It's like, oh, she didn't even need magic to do that. Actually, that's cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, Edos is a really good arc about
Mhm.
colonization and self
It's the funny
worth.
thing is, it's kind of what's funny is it's kind of similar to Skypiea, where they're both arcs where the main characters go up into the sky, get stuck, and then have a very self-contained arc about colonization and then go home.
Dude, I want that to be a trope. I want that in Naruto. I want that in Dragon Ball. Come on,
Yeah,
where is it?
why can't the Edolas Skypiea-esque arc be a trope? That'd be a great trope.
That'd be an awesome trope. We should all just have an arc about colonization.
You should have an arc where you go to the sky, solve colonization, and go home.
All right, and the next is you want to talk about Tenrou?
I feel like with Tenrou, we mostly just want to talk about like Hades, though,
Yeah, because Hades is cool. Like it's about
because
like
Hades is such a good villain.
yeah. All right, so basically, this is when we're going to start talking about Zeref and stuff. Is that like basically Hades really loves Zeref. He's a big Zeref fanboy. He wants to be a cool dark magic boy just like Zeref, because Zeref basically invented magic. He's the oldest mage alive, and he's like, dude, I want to find the true magic. I want to go back to the past. I'm gonna teach all my goons like this old, ancient, forgotten magic.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
yeah, and so basically the whole idea is that like he doesn't have faith in the future. He only wants to go back to the past, and he doesn't even really understand the past because as soon as he meets Zeref, he's like, "Ah, Zeref, our dark messiah, teach me your ways."
I tricked Jellal into building the entire Tower of Heaven just so I could steal a key to unlock you. And then Zeref's like, "Oh, those keys are bullshit. You fucking dumbass.
You know,
You did all that literally for no reason."
This is why Zeref's like my favorite character. Is that like basically they build him like, oh yes, our dark messiah. He made all these tools of death, these instruments of destruction, and we will use them to destroy the world and dye it black. And then as soon as they meet, it's like, you fucking dork, stop touching my shit. I made that so that I could kill myself.
I mean, and part
Give
of
it
that
back.
is like and part of that is like the whole contradiction thing. Like, oh, an evil psychopathic death cult loves the Tower of Heaven, something Zeref invented to revive his dead brother.
Yeah. You know, it's such a funny thing. It's just like you just our dark lord, the demon lord. It's like, no, he's just a sad boy who wants to die.
Yeah. Or how like everyone's like terrified or like wants to use Zeref's tons of evil demon books, and Zeref is like, no, don't use those to kill other people. I made those to kill myself.
Yeah.
Dumbass.
Yeah.
And it's really fun.
Yeah, Zeref. We'll talk more about Zeref later. But basically, that's Tenrou's whole thing is that the next generation, you gotta train them, make them cool, and even if this is the point, like even if they're not as strong as like Hades yet, they will eventually surpass him if you just give them some fucking time. Okay, old man.
Yeah.
Got it, old man.
Also, goofy thing about Hades, because he's old, he uses 3 types of magic. One is just like a chain made out of raw magic. The second is like magic circles that summon big explosions, and the third is just yelling bang and shooting a blast of magic at you.
Yeah, he literally makes finger pistols and goes bang, 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 bang,
bang. Because yeah, he's like an old man using old magic, which just means it's kind of generic and dorky, and it's really fun.
It's so cool. And like a thing I was saying about like how the new generation like is like, yeah, they're still kind of weak. Basically, all the villains are defeated like in groups. All besides Erza's fight against Asuma and Gillart's against Blue Note, because they're the S class who are like considered like these are the actual frontrunners of the current guild as it is now, so they kind of represent like the current generation, so they don't have to team up to beat their guys.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I guess that's one really cool thing about Erza that we've got to talk about, and why some people love her a lot is just because it's kind of always a coin toss, like whether or not she's stronger than Natsu, the main character, is kind of just like up to what day of the week it is. Like it's kind of hard to tell most of the time.
I love how outside of like a couple outright rules, the actual power levels within Fairy Tail are always fluctuating. Like sometimes Natsu and Erza are pretty much equal. Sometimes Erza surpasses him. Sometimes Gray and Natsu are equal. Sometimes Natsu surpasses Gray. For a little bit, Gray was a mile ahead of Natsu.
Oh yeah, I know. Like literally, just in this one arc, Gray got a ×10 attack bonus against all enemies, and just like fuck. I'm our ace now.
Monster.
Yeah, he's their ace for that whole arc. He beats like 3 of the villains.
Yeah. Or like whereas like I feel like the only like outright standards are like Lucy is probably the weakest out of the core cast, and Laxus is probably fucking stupid.
Laxus is always just a big strong boy.
Unless he has like magic cancer.
Yeah.
But then he cures his magic cancer and then beats Hades while crippled. So he's still stupid.
Dude, it was so cool when Laxus came back in Tenrou Island. It's like, oh my god,
that's actually one of the sickest scenes of all time.
He just shows up, starts beating on the main villain, and it's like, nah, dude, I can't be the one to do this.
No,
hey, Natsu, want a free power-up?
Oh no, and the filler adds this really awesome scene where he gets hit by the attack that in the manga just takes him out. But when he gets hit, he has this really great line where it's like, oh my god, I hit you? And he's like, yeah, but it only took out my leg. And I still have my other leg and 2 more arms. And the rest of me, and then he like tackles Hades. It's like that's a great metal line.
No, so like that's the cool thing about Laxus, that because like he did the whole thing where he tried to take over the guild, he got kicked out for a bit. So it's like, okay, because I'm not a member of Fairy Tail, I can't be the one to beat Hades, our former second master, in this big debacle on Fairy Tail Sacred Ground and stuff. So Natsu, take this free power up and just do the job for me.
Yeah, it's great.
Cool. Yeah, it's cool.
Where he's like, I'm stronger than you, but I'm not worthy of this.
Yeah. Man, Laxus is so cool. So next
He's
is
so great.
the Grand Magic Games, which probably the most noteworthy thing is actually the time skip itself and how it was different from like most like shonen anime time
Yeah,
skip.
because it's like a reverse time skip.
Yeah.
The world changes so drastically, but the main characters literally don't change at all.
Basically they just got stuck in a bubble for 7 years and didn't even realize 7 years passed. And when they just like, fuck, our guild is shit now, and everyone
God
thinks we're the
damn it.
laughing stock of the whole wizard world. What happened? So basically, like
Hmm.
this, in the 7 years, it took 7 years for everyone else to catch up with Fairy Tail when they were at that point when they were considered the strongest guild,
Yeah.
and that leads to a
And then
fun
like
tournament arc.
yeah, and then there's like fun things like it starts with a fun goofy tournament arc, which is just the concept of like what makes a good guild, where like the Dark Guild gets kicked out of the tournament because they don't even give a shit. And then you have cool things like how Sabretooth has like all the aesthetics of Fairy Tail, but it's literally like soulless versus soul.
Yeah, no, like it's just like,
like
oh,
like
they're like this chaotic.
insert like Rogue and Sting next to Natsu and Gajil, and it's literally like soulless versus soul meme. That's like the point of the arc.
So basically, it's like, oh, they're this chaotic group of elite wizards who just do whatever they want and stuff like that. And like, they are like a tight knit group at the core because they got the twin dragons who always use teamwork to get
They
their
got
jobs done.
Olga, who is Laxus, but with black lightning.
Yeah.
They also have a really strong lady that everyone calls a royal name who has space controlling magic.
That's a very like that's a loaded term to use in the setting. Space controlling magic.
Yeah, they do, but the difference is like Erza uses it on herself and Minerva uses it on other people.
Yeah. It's just funny
You
to
know,
remember that it's technically spatial magic that Erza does when it doesn't seem that way at all.
it is space because that's a big thing because that little cockweasel in Alverez.
Oh no, that is great. That has that little
He
cock weasel.
hard counters so many top tiers. He's so funny. He's such a little shitlord. I love him. Uh, yeah, and then but then Grand Magic Game switches to be about it's like okay, we've all established through our petty griping that Fairy Tail is the coolest guild, and then it's like now it's about the concept of the future and the past, where it's like um Fairy Tail, the like all the other guild members are like embarrassed of their past and like trying to run from it, whereas Natsu and the rest of the guild are like, okay, we'll just kind of the past is something we have to rectify. We need to make our friends' years of suffering worth it. But then the future is like Future Rogue comes up and he's like, the future's fucking terrifying. I'm gonna destroy it and kill everything with dragons. And then Natsu's like, no, we have to protect the future. And it's like the symbolism is very obvious because it was a 7 year time skip, and then Rogue is scared of the future 7 years from now.
Yeah, it's like for them, like after 7 years, Fairy Tail gone to shit. It's like, all right, we just gotta pick up the pieces, see what we can do, and then for Rogue, he's like, no, fuck, I want to go back. I want to go back. Take me back.
Yeah, it's fun. I like it
Yeah.
because that's a big thing is like fighting your future versus protecting your future. Like Rogue viewed it as something to you have to combat, whereas Natsu viewed it as something good and precious that you need to like protect, and that's cool. I like it.
Yeah, and then I guess getting back to Sabretooth, like basically the whole dynamic is like toxic relationships, like because we actually have a Lucy parallel in this arc.
She's such a Lucy parallel.
Yeah, basically, you remember we talked about like, Lucy's never in control whenever she tries to seduce someone or whatever. Basically, Yukino gets stripped naked in front of her guild for failing a job for being too weak, and then gets kicked out. And
And
it's
that's
basically,
even
oh,
less control.
this is just Lucy if she joined a different guild, if she joined like Phantom
Lucy
Lord or
said she
something.
wanted to join Phantom Lord. It's like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And it's intentional because like while Lucy gets like embarrassed or like awkward whenever she strips, it's never like mortifying to her. Whereas like when it happens to Yukino, she cries to Natsu that was like the worst thing that has ever happened to her in her life.
yeah. And I just love that panel where it's just the Gilma saying "Get out, trash"
Trash. Yeah,
to her naked body.
and even then he's kind of like an anti Makarov, where Makarov is this sweet little wholesome guy who gets big and scary when he needs to, whereas this guy always looks big and scary, but he's actually like a little bitch boy.
Yeah, no, like
He sucks.
Natsu almost beats him like
Oh,
halfway through the
Minerva
arc.
has to stop the fight and then lie to her dad and say, "Oh, you would have won if I didn't interfere. But if you killed him, we may have been disqualified." When everyone else is like, "No, that firing hammer almost killed that man." And then Sting does kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
they're fun.
yeah. Okay, and then next is Tartaros, which is a pretty great arc all around. It was
Yeah,
probably the one I got the
Tartaros is
most out of my reread, because
nice.
like basically I think like why I didn't like it too much at first was just because a lot of the antagonists are flat because like they're just demons who want to kill
Right.
humans, and
Oh,
then
I also think it has probably the roughest anime adaptation.
oh no, you showed
Not
me that a
just the
lot.
shit color
You
palette,
show
but the shit color palette is bad. They added some filler, which I like always because I like watching filler, but the filler was bad. They added two. They added one where Rusty Rose shows up and he's like, "Hey, Ratio and Seis, did you join Jellal yet?" And they're like, "No, we're just following him for no reason, actually." And then Rusty Rogue is like, "Merity joined me. I tried fighting the entire guild on my own, and they kicked my ass, and I'm depressed." And then they're like, no, and then Rusty Rose almost kills Jellal. But then don't worry, the Oracion say saved him, and now they're gonna follow Jellal.
all right, cool.
Or like the
I'm
really
glad we
goofy
figured
one
it all
is
out.
Laxus full to the brim with magic cancer gets up and has a god awful extended fight with a guy he's capable of two-shotting.
Oh no, like literally the arc begins, this guy shows up, by the way, all his attack names are just sound effects, like he'll say
Because he has
whoosh.
memory loss,
You know, so it's
so
just
he
like
can't actually
whoosh,
name them.
whoosh, bang. He'll just scream that in the fight, and it's great. So basically, Loxus like kills that guy in 3 hits, and then gets magic cancer because he exploded with magic cancer.
Yeah.
And then, but then, like later in this filler arc, he's like having this big extended fight against the same guy. It's like, you're the one who gave me my magic cancer.
I
Ah.
need to get the cure for me and my friends. Except also, it felt like the animation staff forgot how Loxus's attacks work, because like Loxus does a roaring thunder, which is at that point far and away his strongest attack, and Tempester just kind of blocks it. But then Loxus just does like an uppercut, and Tempester is like, "No, I've been knocked out." And then he gets back up and he's like, "Haha, you fool! I can regen." And then Loxus just does like a roar that's amped by water, and he's like, "Oh, okay, never mind. You've overridden my regen. You win. Fuck me."
Okay, we can talk about why the arc's good now. It's like basically a lot of the villains felt like flat, right? But then I
Yeah,
realized like, okay, if like Zeref's like the big bad and he made like all the demons in the Tower of Heaven, like all of these are supposed to like indirectly characterize him. But what do the demons say about him? It's like, oh right, he wants to kill himself, and this is at the point of his life where he's tired of life itself, and like even at this point probably tired of humans in general. Because like he talks about like about how foolish humans are, because like he's
yeah.
seen them go to war a bunch of times. So this is at a point in his life where like he just hates humans, he hates himself, he hates life, and that's what the demons reflect. That they want to kill humans, they instinctively want to seek Zeref out and kill him, and they think humans are foolish and cringe. And it's like, oh, that's why, because they're the reflection of how Zeref felt at that point in time.
Oh, or like one thing that the anime also kind of struggled with is like one thing that they did is demons view humans so poorly they just view them like animals. And one way they do that also lets Mashima do fan service is that they have their captives be naked because what's the point of having them clothed? And the anime can't do that, so they just kind of remove that entire plot point.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, don't worry, they won't dehumanize you. They just don't like you.
yeah.
Like it's cool in different ways. Like a couple of the demons, the two necromancers, so the people who control the dead and control the living, are obsessed with tales and stories
Yeah,
because they view life as like a story and they find it fascinating. But then they get their asses beat because Mira's like, "Can you shut the fuck up and stop controlling my family? The only control that matters is the control Elfman has for his love of us." And then she gets punched in the back of the head really hard and dies.
yeah. All right.
And then
There's actually one thing I really like about Mir in that arc. Is just like basically like two things. A, she uses Mir's whole thing is that like she's the sweet girl. She wants to be a nice big sister to everyone in the guild, but she has demon powers, and that kind of clashes with her image, right? So she
yeah,
never like wants to fight all out like around like her friends and family and all that. And then like in Tartaros, like she uses she gets the mind control power from Mind Control Girl, like she copies it, and is like she uses the most like dangerous evil demon power for as a force for good just to call for help, and that's pretty cool. And then
yeah, I
B,
like it.
like she makes like this angry face, but like she's smiling like when she realizes, oh, you're the one who mind controlled Elfman. She's like has this like evil smile.
Oh,
You
it's a fun face.
yeah, no.
And I
The
think
thing is,
also the
what
cool.
the cool thing about it is that like you can tell she's angry, but she's still trying to put on a smile. Like, she's trying to feign her anger, like she's
Yeah.
trying to play it off, but she can't. And it's like, oh, that's really cool.
No,
It's a
the other
nice
thing I
little
like about
detail.
the Elfman thing is like, whereas the demon forced people to do things they didn't want to do, Mira was just helping Elfman do something he already wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that's cool, and I like that. Or like other necromancer is like, ho ho ho, I find stories fascinating, and I think this story will rhyme. I think Gray's gonna kill himself. That's why I lied to Mard Gear and pretended that this literal human who wants to kill all of us is actually a demon. And then he's like, "Fuck! It didn't work. It didn't work. Code Red. He is killing all of us." Very funny.
Yeah.
Or like yeah, like other things like Kyoka views humans as like playthings, et cetera, et cetera. The one guy is obsessed with the cost of a soul, which is, and he views it through monetary gain, which shows like how Zeref is like kind of still cares about people but doesn't view them as people. That's cool.
Yeah, at this point
Or
he's
like
probably like trying to build Alverez. It's like, all right, I got my board game. This man
yeah,
is worth like 20 units of strength. That's
yeah,
pretty
it's like
cool.
that.
Yeah.
It's like wartime thought. And then what I also like is on top of that you have Mard Gear, and Mard Gear's whole thing is that he's just this dickhead little show off, and I love him. Where his whole thing is like humans suck and are cringe, and I know I should hate them, but they're really fun to mess around with. But also they hurt my pride, and I don't like that. And then like Mardgear is a show off because Mardgear has two S tier scenes. One is he hijacks someone's telepathy, which in fairy tale is like a cool big dick villain thing to do, and he does it just to say, "Hello, I am Mardgear," and then he kills everyone who he telepathied. He does it just to show off. And then the second is just actually an S tier scene.
Oh
He's
no, it's
sitting
so
at a
good.
throne, and he's
Such a
like,
good
"Hey, Sting
sequence.
Natsu Rogue, fuck you, you're cringe." And then they beat the shit out of him with every attack they can, and then he blows them back, and then lands back in his
Oh
chair
no,
with
like
his hair all
literally,
ruffled.
literally, Natsu like uproots the throne and throws it into the air along with more gear. They do their attacks. He knocks them all back, and then the throne lands just as it should, just like upright, and then he just falls into it and just like
What
yeah,
I like is like it's still
yeah.
like his hair's a little ruffled, and he's not sitting quite right, but he's still trying to show off.
Yeah, he landed it. He did it.
He's a funny ass character.
You know. So like a big thing in Tardo, like just to talk about how good fairy tale is generally, like the larger themes. I wrote this paragraph about like all the dramatic irony that went into that one Juvia scene.
Right.
So like Juvia is forced to indirectly mercy kill Gray's father, forcing Gray to relive his father's death and inherit his will because a demon decided to puppet Silver's corpse and make a mockery of life. A demon created by Zeref, who he made this demon to try and aid him in his own suicide, because he's grown so tired of endless life after being cursed by God for not being able to accept his baby brother's death. He loved life so much he tried to create a device to bring it back, not knowing how that device would itself like be an affront to life, just like his necromancer is, and it's just like, and then the way his demons eventually would be also be a mock of life. Like there's so much like fucking like how many layers of irony is that in this one scene? Like
And the
I
thing
have
is,
to
like,
count them.
and then Puff, on top of all that, all the irony is like extra fascinating because Zaref's whole thing is contradictions. So even the fact that it's ironic has like double meaning.
I know it's just like
It's so
okay,
fucking good. Yeah.
I literally think if I had to like go through like and count them, I'd find like at least a dozen. Like okay, so Juvia being forced to kill, uh, and then Gray's father wants
Wanting to die.
yeah, and then in Gray, whose whole thing is like stagnation, has to like relive his father's death. Okay, the this is happening because of a necromancer. Like, and not only is that an affront to life in and of itself, that's also something Zeref tried to do in the past with his baby brother. But Zeref did it because he loved life so much in like a genuine way, whereas the necromancer is doing it because haha, it's cool. I love necromancing people. It's so awesome. So like they're both making a mockery of life in different ways, even though they're basically doing the same thing. And then
Yeah.
this demon who brings people back to life was made in order to kill Zeref. And also Zeref, who used to love life, is now so tired of it that he wants him to kill himself and also kill a bunch of other humans, which these demons are doing. It's just, I'm done trying to count them. There's too fucking much, man.
Yeah, it's a very
That
cool
might
thing.
just be like the best scene in the whole story, maybe.
Gray versus Silver is probably my favorite fight.
Oh no, it's very sad.
And then What else? Was there any other arcs you want to talk about? Alvarez is like too
I
fucking
want to
big.
talk about Tartarus a bit longer, just because like the
Okay.
grief
Oh,
thing.
what
Like
else did you have to talk about?
basically like grief is like the where it's probably where the grief theme is the biggest because Gray has to relive his father's death. B, Natsu realizes that his father Igneo, like the dragon he's in church all his time, has been
Oh,
dead
dude,
all
the
these
amount of
years.
people who lose a parent figure this arc is like Natsu, Gray, Lucy, Gajiel, Wendy, Sting,
Yeah.
Rogue,
So like,
Minerva.
all right. So
There's
all
like
the
eight.
so all the dragons lose one, and then Minerva loses her own father because I'm the cringe guy who only cares about
Mhm.
power, so I let the demons turn me into a demon.
Gray has to
Hiya.
literally kill his dad with his own hands.
And then Lucy, like who has to break Aquarius's key to get them all out of a jam, and Aquarius basically like took on like a, I wouldn't say like a surrogate mother figure, but more like a like an aunt who really hates
like
the
a like
kid
a
but is
like a
putting up with her.
judgy aunt.
Yeah, judgy aunt. She's a judgy aunt. So she has to part with her judgy aunt, and her
Yeah.
judgy aunt's kind of sad that they have to do that. Which is, and it's kind of for this reason that grief is a big theme. That there's two things I don't like in the story, and it's this is just a small thing. It's just kind of whatever. But like Aquarius like comes back in Alverez momentarily, and it's just like, oh, she can just kind of do that now if the Celestial Spirit King
I mean,
feels
she
like it.
does it literally
I don't
just
know.
to exposition dump. Like she's
I know,
not doing it
but the
to
thing is,
say hi.
yeah, but the thing is just like, all right, so the Celestial Spirit King can just make them meet whenever he wants, I guess. So like that kind of gets rid of some of the dramatic like
I
tension,
imagine
I
he
guess.
probably can't do that very often because he's already had to break like three rules for Lucy. He's probably fucking pushing it at this point.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, but it's just like, yeah, okay, maybe it would just be best, like it'd make like their eventual reunion more like emotional if like they didn't see each other until
No,
then.
I liked it because I liked it because it's also what Aquarius did to like start Lucy on her path to actually know she could find Aquarius again.
Well, I mean, the thing is, they could have just had like one of the other social media,
Yeah,
like they
or
could
you
have
could have
regular.
just had like even Aquarius like have like fucking Crux like prepare that flashback. That could have been funny.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then what else is there? Oh, you're right. The other thing I don't like is that like this just gets more puzzling. Like the more I learn to like fairy tale and all this intricate like theming about like grieving and the sanctity of life and all that, it's like why did Lazana come back again? Because
Okay,
like
listen,
the
here's
thing
the
is,
thing. On one hand, I like it for I like some things about it. Mainly the actual scene of like Lizana reuniting with Elfman and Mira is fucking great. It's very emotional and very good. But then she doesn't do shit after
no,
that.
like the coolest thing she does is in the spin-off sequel Century Quest where she just jobs to Lucy. That's the coolest thing she does is job to Lucy.
Like she does things, but I do admit it does feel like she didn't do anything grand enough after coming back to
The
life.
thing is, like,
Like I
it's
don't
it's
mind that
it's.
she's back solely because it made Mira very happy, and it made Mira and Elfman very happy, and that made me very happy.
The thing is, like, also like in the Tartarus, like when she gets like taken hostage, it's like, oh no, Elfman, this very important person to you has been taken hostage by a demon. Oh no! But it's just like you could have had that be evergreen, and the story would be the same pretty
Well, I
much. Just
mean,
have
they
it be
it was
evergreen.
mostly Mira to be fair, because Mira was the one Elfman was focused on saving.
Well, yeah, I just mean like for Tartarus specifically, it's just like, oh
Oh
no, the
god, no,
demons.
Puff, that's actually very funny because I'm imagining the scenes of Natsu and Lizana stuck in the cell, but it's fucking evergreen. And
That
that's
does
very
sound way fun.
funny.
That sounds way funnier.
That sounds really fucking funny and really stupid.
And instead of like my like childhood friend who like kind of knows me, it's like the fuck are you? Evergreen? Okay,
It's like
it's
two
Evergreen.
guild members who don't really get along.
You know, it's just like fucking Natsu of all the people, the man with no class, and he's just like, what the fuck's this bitch's fault? She's so uptight. What the
I know,
hell?
right? Yeah, it'd be funny. Um, yeah, no, it's like I
And
don't
the thing is,
mind that Lizana's back, but I would like if she did like some parts, just
die.
like one. No, not die. I'm happy that she's back. It's just like I would have liked if she just had like one somewhat big moment tied to the fact that like she's back and like that's important.
The thing is, what was I gonna say?
I don't know.
Oh right, like I know, like in one of the volume extras, Mashima talks about death. Like yeah, like grief is an important theme. So when a character like dies, I want to make that a hard rule. No one can come back from the dead. Like like there's the necromancer guy, but even that's like only a temporary
And
fix and
he
stuff like
outright
that.
says he's like, I kind of don't like the fact that I use necromancers. Where he's like, on one hand, the drama's really good, but on the other hand, I kind of don't like the fact that the dead people are back.
Yeah, no, I know, like Igneo, like he gets to come back for like an hour. But like the thing is, all the dragons were gonna die in an hour.
Well,
Like
and the
that was
point
kind of
was
the whole
that was
point.
basically the scene where they died.
Yeah, like basically, like yes, you'll never see them again except for this one fleeting moment. So it's like yeah, it's fine, whatever. And like also like sure, fake. There's quite a few fake out in Fairy Tail. I don't mind most of them. Like I don't care that
I
like
don't.
Sawyer blew up. Who fucking cares? Sawyer's a villain. It's not like it's not like Pell where there's a whole like chapter
Yeah,
dedicated to their
and
death
like
and why
I'm
it's sad.
glad Leon survived. That would have been a really lame way for his character to go out.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, there's basically two like big ones that I can really defend. It's Gajil and who else was it? Um,
I don't know.
oh
There's
yeah,
quite a few.
Gajil and Erza. So obviously Erza in the Tower of Heaven, it's all about the sanctity of life, and they're just like Erza. We're gonna show you what happens when you die. So don't fucking die, okay? This is like
And
the
also,
ghost of
it was
Christmas
part of
future.
Jallal's
It's the
character because
ghost of it's
reveal.
the ghost of Christmas future, okay? That's the
You
whole
know,
point of the
but
scene.
and it was also the start of Jallal's redemption because it was revealed Jallal's the one who saved her.
Yeah.
And it's like that's neat. And then with Gajil, I think what you said is Gajil is too much of a fucking hard ass to say that unless
Yeah.
he literally thought he
No,
was gonna
like
die.
literally, he's such like a I'm such a cool guy that he won't like say these things unless he thinks he's about to die. So like like it's a pretty good excuse to get him to finally say it, and B, they brought him back like the chapter after, so who cares?
It was like
right?
2 chapters later. Because what's funny is the volume extra for that is Mashima's like, I know I just said that I don't feel bad about fake out deaths, but a lot of you were really sad about Gajil, so I felt kind of awkward revealing that he was fine. Which
Oh yeah,
is funny.
yeah. Like I think
And
the
I didn't
only
mind
I
because
think
guess
I
what?
think
What
the
is
only bad ones is like Lizana because like why is she back like
and
doesn't
even
make
then,
sense.
it's not even like a fake out death. It's more like you're retconning a flashback.
Yeah, and then like B is Wendy's and Tartarus because that alright that's kind of a Pell example where they like flashed back to all these scenes and tried to
Yeah,
make it
yeah.
sad. But like I guess to be fair, the chapter like ends with Wendy being saved, so like
Yeah, Mess saves her that very
it's not
chapter.
even like it's
It's
not even like
way fucking worse in the anime because it's like the whole episode. They spend like 15 minutes on flashbacks. It's fucking terrible.
yeah. Oh, I guess like to talk about Gaiju really quickly. I love the transition between him like being a villain to just becoming a fairy tale because they make like the most ingenious thing about it is just like Panther Lily's existence. Where at first he's like, wait a second, Wendy and Natsu are dragon slayers, but they got cats. But I don't got a cat. Like I just joined this game for the job, so I don't really care. But like, why don't I have a cat? I
Oh
feel
no,
left out.
the ways they show the show the way they show his like very little like it's the ways they show that he cares that he's being left out, but he'll only express it in like the smallest ways. Where he's like, yeah, I don't want to be friends with them, but like being the only dragon slayer without a cat, I just feel left out,
It
man.
makes me look uncool, like I'm not a real dragon slayer, so I gotta get a cat. And then, like, when he finally gets his cat, who's like amazing, I love Lily. He's the cutest guy. He's gonna be my profile pic for the next few months. He's
Nice.
just like, hey Salamander, my cat can kick yours' ass. Let's have him fight. And it's like literally
And
an
then like
excuse. It's
Gajil finally
literally
has a
yeah.
reason to talk to the guild.
He literally has an excuse to talk with Natsu now, and like that's what's so great about Panther Lily is that like yes,
Yeah.
it makes such a
or-
good transition. I think
Or like
it works so
and then
well.
like the other big one is like he doesn't get to be in the S class trials because he's busy being a double agent. So he teams up with Levy for two
He's being a
reasons.
triple
One,
agent.
yeah, triple A, whatever. I don't fucking care.
He's
One
a triple
is
agent.
to I don't care. One is to make it up to her because he feels bad for all he did to her, and two is because he's pissed off he can't participate in the Grand Magic Games.
Or not?
Because like
You mean
whenever
the
he's talking
S-Class
to
tour
Levy,
test,
he's like
right?
really genuine and he's like, I want to help you get stronger. But whenever he's actually at the games, he's like, I want to fight someone. But he's very fun. And then
Yeah,
I think that's
guys are
all we have
fun,
to
man.
say for Tartaros.
Yeah, that's all I have to say. So the all the stuff is Alverez, which is the big one, which I'm not sure how much I want to talk about because if I make
Yeah,
a
because
Zeref
like it's
video,
so fucking big is the thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's like it's obviously not as long, but it is kind of like trying to talk about the blood war. It's like, but there's so much.
I know, and also like I guess if this is gonna be like a recommendation for fairy tale kind of like, do we want to talk about everything,
I
everything,
mean, we've
everything?
already spoiled like fucking crazy.
I mean, yeah, we did definitely, but like also like
I feel
uh,
like this is like more of a defense than a recommendation.
I
I
guess
guess like
so.
I guess this is a recommendation of like if you only watched Fairy Tale when it first came out and you like stopped when like Zero came out and you never watched the second season, go back and reread the whole thing. It's good. You'll have a good time.
Yeah, I guess like basically cool thing about Alvarez is that like basically like Zeref, he's the big bad in that arc, and then like a lot of his like the Spriggan 12 all kind of like feed into his character in a cool way. Not all of them, but most of them do. So that's cool. Uh, I swear like half my notes is just about like the Spriggan 12 and Zeref.
Oh yeah, no, because also there's just like a lot of really good fights that arc.
Yeah. All right. So
August versus Gildarts rocks, Erza versus their mom rocks, Natsu and Gray versus each other rock.
yeah, or like
The
Gearlof
final
versus
act, the Logia
August.
fight's really cool. Natsu versus Zero, a lot of good shit that arc.
Dude, I remember when I was on the train home, like finishing Fairy Tale, like like two chapters before the end um of the acting Logia fight, I was like, okay, I know exactly what song I want to play, and then I just played "Find Your Flame" from
Yeah, you
Sonic
told me a
Frontiers.
fucking Sonic song.
It's like it's really perfect because like the song like the final like chorus ends with "Cause it's you and your friend." And I made sure like I stopped reading for like 20 seconds just so the song could catch up to me, just so I could have that like bit blazing in my head as Natsu's punching the final villain.
Nice. And then what did you want to do for are we just on to bad opinions now?
Yes, we're on Bad Pinch. So did you know that there's no strategy fights in any Fairy Tale fight ever?
Okay, people say this about every anime and they're almost always wrong. Fairy Tail has strategy sometimes. In fact, one of the most common ones, which is also like the most hyper literal power of friendship power, is
game, so we can't play
very few Fairy Tail fights are a straight up 1v1.
Yeah, that is true.
Because they're like, you know how we win? Fucking 2v1, 3v1, fuck it, 7v1. Why would we make it
No, this
fair?
is
We're here to
this is
win.
the power of friendship. You always outnumber the other guy.
Yeah,
You can
quite
jump
literally, they
him.
do that,
You
like,
can
half
jump
the
him.
time.
Like even like
And that's
Natsu's like base power is that like he can eat fire, but he can't eat his own fire. Kind of like means that either his opponent has to be a fire user or his friends have to help him out.
Yeah.
Which like that happens all the time. Like he beats Gagio because Lucy finds him some fire.
Yeah, it's
he
like a
beats
big
Zero
example.
because Jellal gives him some fire.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or like when they're fighting a bunch of the Tartaros demons. It's going well because they're like 3v3ing and one guy can't use his fire attacks because if he did, he'd buff Natsu. Yeah, stuff like that's cool. Or like, there's just like strategies in like every fight. It's like what we did with Naruto. You can just point at random fights. Like,
Yeah, okay,
like
I
the
have a
way they
whole
beat
fucking
Mard
list
Gear
here.
is that Naruto faked him out. Not Naruto, Natsu, because Natsu went full Dragon Force, used all his magic to tackle the shit out of Mard Gear, and Mard Gear's like, huh, that was a good attempt, and Natsu's like, fucking dumbass, and then Grace shoots Mard Gear in the stomach.
Oh no, his times 10 attack bonus! Ah!
No, I do like how literally when they're fighting him, Natsu's like, this guy's invincible. And Gray's like, no, he just won't let me hit him. Only you're landing your fucking hits.
No, like the thing is, I have a whole fucking list here. It's like okay, Natsu versus the ape, which is like this like chapter 2, like the ape, like he melts the axe and then it swallows like the melted piece and spits it back in his face. Like that's a strategy play.
That is a strategy.
Natsu versus anti magic boy. Natsu literally just instead of trying to throw fire at him, just says I'm gonna use it as like a thruster and I'm gonna tackle you, and then he does that. And then
Or like almost every Gray fight is strategic. One of the only ones that isn't, ironically, is his fight with Leon. I think the best part of that fight is after a while, Gray's like, "I'm done with you," and then Leon's like, "What?" And then Gray starts just beating the shit out of him, not with magic, but just like actually just clobbering him.
And like here's just, like going down my list again. I have the voodoo fight is technical mastery because they established his power set and then they abuse it to fuck him up.
It is. That's that whole fight.
I know, or like how Gray like freezes his blood to beat a time wizard who can't use her magic on living things. So it's like, oh, I can just like make your ice melt by like having it go forward in time. And he's like, well, fuck you. It's blood now. It's frozen blood, and you can't control living things, and since it's basically me in there, fuck you.
I like to imagine it's like he has like a 5 second window before the blood counts as dead.
Yeah, or like Elfman when he fought Boxes, like, all right, Boxes can kick my ass, but if I just turn into my like turtle lizard form and just have him like beat up on me, his hands will get shredded by my lizard form. So I'll just play defense.
Which also has fun themes, but like whatever.
Yeah, or like even like we talked about Erza versus Chicago. It's like, all right, armor's fucking useless. Let's go with a glass cannon build, and
then it's fun because like for every strategy fight, sometimes you just have fun fights that are just like characters balling out. Like every Laxus fight. Like Laxus, when he solos his whole guild, is just his dad's like, Laxus, it's 5v1, including your own.
You can't beat all of Raventail.
Made to beat only my top soldiers, handpicked to defeat your guild. And then Laxus one-shots all of them, including his dad.
He's just like a big, strong
Jura.
man.
Laxus is just like, I'm just gonna punch you till I win, Jura.
No, he's literally just a big, strong man, and I love him.
And it's like it's fun that we can have both. I do think like if you really prefer fights that have a lot more logic going on, Gray is probably going to end up being your favorite character.
Yeah, and like I like going down. There's a ton of great fights. Like when he's fighting Silver, like who's the ice demon. So it's like, aha, ice is useless because I'll just eat it. I'll eat your ice, Gray.
And then Gray's like, oh, but you're not immune. You can't eat your own ice. And he's like, fuck, that's true.
Yeah.
But I'm also immune to my own ice. And Gray's like, I got fucking.
Well, how about this?
Like, you know what you're not immune to?
Rocks.
Iron ball.
Rocks and iron balls. So he's like, fuck, stop throwing debris at me. No.
Throwing shit at me.
Or like how Mira Jane like uses her takeover power just to steal this one demon's ability and then uses it against her. Yeah.
Or like another one is like a really short, fun, strategic one is Gray versus that big demon guy who turned you into a kid.
Oh yeah, I know, and it's really just like, all right, I'm a little kid. I have no offensive capabilities now that my magic's like at level 1 again, but I can Home Alone the fuck out of him by like making traps and shit.
You know, like Gray literally has a panel where he's like, he points at his head and he's like, I still got my imagination, bitch. And thankfully he's fighting an actual dumbass.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, he even uses the environment against him because, like, this is the arc where, like, Silver's introduced and he, like, throws the whole village over, right? So
yeah, the whole point of that fight is Gray realizing that it's anti-devil ice.
Yeah, it's like, wait a second. This ice actually, like, hurts him when it, like, falls onto it and stuff. So it's like, why is that? I guess I just have to use the environment to help me win now, I guess. And then he does that, and it's cool.
Yeah,
and
it's cool.
He was, like, actually one of my favorite because this is, like, an actual 100 IQ brain play by Lucy. Lucy uses Gemini, which is her spirit that can copy other people, but the thing is, it can't copy anyone stronger than Lucy, and Lucy fucking sucks, right? So, so basically, she does it to copy Space Boy, who's like a mook on the villain's side. But the thing is, he can like negate spatial or like space magic. So she does that, and just negates the space magic of the strong guy in the room. And then the strong guy in the room's like, oh fuck, my space magic! All the people I kidnapped are coming out. Oh no! And then they jump him.
Or like the other funny one I mentioned earlier is when she just lies and says Natsu's a celestial spirit. That's also just very funny.
Oh, I know, that was great.
That's even practical. I like how Natsu and Lucy are like, fuck, this guy's immune to all of our magic. He's so strong. What do we do? And then Natsu's like, wait a minute. I'm jacked, and there's a giant rock next to me. He just beats him with a rock.
rock throw.
That's genius.
Okay. Before we get too bad into the bad takes, I just want let's just talk about the thing I want to talk about, and it's Jellal and comparing him to Meliodas.
Oh, that's fun. Because people do always complain Jallal's like too angsty or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, Jellal is a literal supervillain, and then he wants to redeem himself, right? And the thing is, Seven Days Since literally a story about redemption. So I feel like, all right, the fact that I don't really like feel your main character's redemption was that good is like a bad thing. But Jellal is like literally like guilt is literally like the #1 emotion that defines Jellal. So at least if you think he's too bad to be redeemed, at the very least, he's like actually like feeling guilty 24/7 afterwards and is trying to redeem himself 24/7 afterwards. So even if you think he literally can't be redeemed, at least he's gonna spend the rest of his life killing himself to like, you know, try and make things better.
Yeah.
So that's more or less. And I remember like when he helps Natsu, he says, "These I'll give you my firepower, Natsu. I'm gonna give you my magic. These are the flames of guilt. Will you accept them?" It's like literally, will you metaphorically accept his guilt? And he's like, all right. Yeah. Fine, sure, Jellal, and it's
No,
like, all
and
right,
what's
cool.
funny is uh Meliodas collects his 7 mooks and calls them the 7 deadly sins. Jellal also collects 6 people, the Oracion and Seis, who call themselves sinners to help them redeem themselves. But the difference is, it's not just like this vague little, oh, we're just gonna be together and mope together. Jellal is like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you and convince you to
Then
repent.
you're gonna repent to Jesus.
No, not Jesus. It's more so like Joel's whole thing is basically even though we're free from prison, because we are humans with consciousness, the guilt of how fucking evil we are is going to weigh down on our lives.
Yeah.
He's like, even if you don't feel bad now, eventually you will. And like that's true. Like Sorano is like evil as shit, but whenever she sees her sister, she feels terrible because she's an awful person.
Yeah.
Just shit
Oh.
like that. And it's very fun.
Yeah. Also, like, there
Or
were
like
some characters like Hot Eye there who like actually tried to redeem themselves earlier, which is
yeah.
pretty nice.
And then also with Joel, it's the fact that like it's not like Meliodas where we get like one old fuck who's kind of mad. Joel faced
Oh
many,
no,
many
he gets
people
way
who
more consequences than Meliodas.
Miliana wants to fucking kill him. Kagura wants to fucking kill him. Erza wanted to kill him. All the Oracion Seis have a little bit of beef with him.
Or like, and again, like Meliodas, he gets to like, even before like they like find out who they are, and like Elizabeth remembers her past and all that. It's like I get to hang out and sexually assault my girlfriend, and then Jalal's just like, oh, I fucking can't. I wish I could go on a date with you, Erza, but I can't. I have to be an angsty boy and redeem myself. Puts on cloak and walks into the night.
I think my favorite one is when he lies about the fiance, and Ultir and Merity are like, "You're cringe," and then he's like, "Shut up," and then Urza's like, "God, he's cringe. That was a garbage lie." Like it didn't accomplish anything. It would have been more effective for him to just say, "I'm an angsty boy. Leave me alone." I love him.
Yeah.
And then I do like how literally Jalal's final purpose in the final arc is making it up to Kagura, saving Urza, and then literally everyone else is so busy fighting, and Acnologia shows up, and everyone's like, "We need someone who can fly to stall Acnologia," and Jalal's like, "Okay, that's me."
I'm the only guy who didn't have to fight a Sprigon 12 before this. I'm so ready.
Well, he did, but he got help, and then
Yeah.
he's like, "Okay, I will go stall literally Acnologia. This is gonna fucking suck."
And then it did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Today,
really fun.
today, I actually just read the chapter in Century Cuts, the spin-off that comes after, where like he's like the being brainwashed and is just like instead of being like aha I am evil now just like everyone else and who's being mind
He's
controlled,
just
he's
horny
like
for Urza.
yes, it's like Erza. I have pent up sexual frustration because I never got to go on a date with you. Let's do it
Yeah,
now.
it's great. So what was the next bad opinion?
The next bad opinion is that okay, so basically my general rule of thumb for criticizing Fairy Tail, because I've seen a lot of it, is that like if you can apply your criticism to One Piece, Hunter x Hunter, or Berserk, you should probably dismiss it or think
Because
about it a
odds
second
are
time.
you like one of those
Yeah.
a lot. Mainly, especially because a lot of One Piece fans pull. Can we just do the One Piece ripoff one like
Oh
super
wait,
fast?
sorry, not Berserk. It's Attack on Titan
Okay, Attack on
for
Titan.
very
Here's the thing.
specific reasons.
Yay. Now here's the, one quick thing with One Piece is like, guys, Puff, this is like a joke I made. A bunch of people will say Fairy Tail rips off One Piece because like they think
Perona has
Gildarts
an
looks like
umbrella.
Shanks. Here's
Juvia
the thing.
has an umbrella.
No, here's the thing. If you are a fucking manga reader of Fairy Tail, like not an anime watcher, because an anime watcher, I get it. That one frame of Gildarts looks pretty bad. If you're a manga reader, there are maybe 3 panels where Gildarts ever looks anything like Shanks, and it's
I know
because his
most.
hair's wet.
Yeah, I know. It's
Because
just
like when Gildarts is introduced, he doesn't. He looks like King from Rave Master. He has the same haircut. He just
yeah.
looks like King. And then by the end of the series, he's got like this beautiful, luscious mane. Shanks could never have that. Shanks is homeless. He has a nasty, dirty, gross locks of hair.
Yeah.
And then I think and also like a meme I made, Puff, that people.
Oh
actually
yeah, no,
got
I
mad
was gonna
at
bring this up. You
is
say it, though. It's yours.
so people are like, oh, look at all these ripoffs. A joke ripoff I pointed out is Gray's Master has a scene where she shows off her cool ice leg. Several years later in One Piece, oh, Kuzan has an ice leg prosthetic. Fuck you.
That hack Oda trying to steal Mashima's
Yeah,
ideas.
it's
How
like you
dare
can be
he?
disingenuous really easily. It's not hard.
Yeah. All right.
Also, Kuma doesn't look like Kuma
No,
and
okay,
fucking Hot
this
Eye
one,
aren't
I
ripoffs of
hate
each other.
because like, okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, the like obviously Kuma's meant to look like a preacher kind of because like he has the Bible. Okay,
Yeah.
that's just what a preacher garb looks like on Hot Eye. Hot Eye's literally wearing a preacher garb. Yes, they're both big men in preacher garbs, but that's just like an
Except what's
idea
funny
that
is Kuma is wearing like a giant like bullseye shirt where Hot Eye is actually dressed like a preacher.
yes.
And then the thing is like it's also like they're opposites. Like the whole thing with Hot Eye is like the joke is he looks like a preacher, but he's like a greedy bastard.
You know, his Bible says money. It's like, yes, money is everything. This is my Bible. It's called Money. It has a bunch of financial advice.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you can name an actual example of like fairy, I think the closest
Or like
thing
even
I've heard
again,
of,
let's just talk about how like look at Hadai's fucking face and how like it's literally like octagoned and sharp
and
edges
the
and
joke
literally
is that's
cube.
because his brother is a cube. He's
I
his
know
brother
he's a
with more
fucking cube.
texture.
He's an
It's funny.
octagon.
Yeah,
Kuma's
it's
not
funny
an
as fuck.
octagon. He's a
Yeah, it's
bear.
funny. No, they just don't look the same at all, and it's really funny. One, or I think one of the only ones are like, yeah, I agree. Mashima was probably inspired by Oda. Is the fairy tale hold up your hand thing was probably inspired by the Alabasta thing.
Yeah, that's easy to
I
believe.
believe that, except counterpoint: one, it's not a ripoff because it means a different thing. Two, I don't give a shit because that Laxus scene makes me cry. Therefore, it's good.
All right. Next bad idea is from our
No, no, no.
favorite.
We can talk. No, we can talk about the whole criticism thing too.
Yeah, no, like, yeah, no, I'm going through that. Just like the next
Okay,
one is
good.
from our favorite YouTuber Nux Taku. The guild is actually the main character of Fairy Tail.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
What do you mean it's
Uh,
not? The whole
no,
guild's the main character.
I don't even know what to say. It's just like if you read the first volume of Fairy Tale and you can confidently say Natsu and Lucy aren't the main characters, I don't know how your brain works.
I know. I think like literally he was just trying to say something that sounded smart and made Fairy Tail sound unique. When
Yeah.
like that's not true at all. If you want to say the guild itself is kind of a character in the setting, then like sure, I
I'd say
guess.
it's more like a theme or a
I
concept.
know,
but that's
I'd,
fine.
I'd
And
say
then
it's more
like
like an idea. Like, so the thing is, there's actual stories where like a building or like an organization can be a character in and of itself. Like in a lot of Batman comics, Gotham City is in itself a character.
yeah, that's
And like
kind of a
even
point.
like literally what buildings get put up in Gotham mean a lot for like the story and all that. Like
Right.
the literal geography of Gotham is used like that, and it's cool. That's not used for Fairy Tale at all. Not the guild and not the story itself.
You know, I'm trying to think of like a what's another fucking I'm stupid.
You are stupid.
Yeah, I am. Shut up. No. The thing with like the main character thing is, I feel like the reason we have to talk about Nux is because outside of that one 3-hour Fairy Tale video, I'm not gonna watch because it's too fucking long. I say like this isn't long. It's too long, and also I don't trust him to have takes that are better than mine. um, Nux for a while was the only person doing anything resembling good like positive fairy tale analysis, and he made stupid points like most shonen protagonists have broad powers like a Rasengan or being made of rubber, but Natsu has fire, which is specific. Therefore, he's not a main character, which is
What the fuck
obviously
you
brain
talking
dead.
about? Oh my god.
It is like obviously brain dead. It's like Luffy uses fire a lot as his main element. Naruto's a wind user, and even if you ignore that, there's tons of series where the main character has like elemental powers. That's completely normal.
I know.
So it's just like dumb,
Yikes.
dumb, stupid. Fuck off. Oh no, what you said like you said like if you compare it, so if you can apply the criticisms to One Piece, Hunter x Hunter, or Attack on Titan, what's the One Piece and Hunter x Hunter ones?
Okay, so the Hunter x Hunter one, it's like if a rule is it. Okay, wait, hold on. What was it again? I have to look
Oh, is
at
the
my
Hunter
notes.
one just like you need to perfectly follow your hard rules at all times. You can't have any wiggle room.
Well, no, like that's the thing. It's just that, like, I feel like Hunter x Hunter is kind of just like it builds itself with the expectation that's how you should approach the story because like it explains a fuck ton about Nen, whereas like Fairy Tail doesn't do that. Most stories don't do that. So like if you want to scrutinize like any manga as much as Hunter x Hunter, I think that's kind of unwise. But I think like generally the Hunter x Hunter thing is just that like it's just kind of the death bag. I think it was like there's too much of it. It's like yes, there's a lot of that in Hunter x Hunter too, buddy boy. Next.
Too many what?
Death fake outs.
Oh yeah, Hunter x Hunter does have a lot of death fakes.
Yeah.
And Hunter x Hunter is great to bring up because people bitch about One Pieces. No one bitches about Hunter x Hunters. Hell, we watched an entire YouTube video. We're not going to call him out because he admitted it was a bad video at the time. But where a guy says, unlike Fairy Tail, Hunter x Hunter has good character deaths that are meaningful, and they use Kite.
Yeah.
If you're a Hunter x Hunter fan, you know why that's fucking stupid.
Hopefully we didn't spoil Hunter x Hunter for someone in our
We
fairy
didn't
tale.
know. They could be a million things. Maybe his death was a fake out. Maybe his death was ass. Maybe he never even died in the first place. Maybe it was never even implied he was gonna die. It could be like 50 things.
Alright, and then for the Attack on Titan one, it's very specific because if you think that, like, shipping's fucking stupid, and I hate it when authors put shipping bait into their manga, and it's like, you do not believe how good fairy tale fandom is compared to Attack on Titan.
Insert incel Aaron crying in the water here.
Okay, the thing is, like fairy tale, just like the fairy tale community, from what I've seen of it, like they're just all like nice people who are content and happy. Like it's a peaceful paradise. I
think the most grumpy thing they are is some of them think like Gray and Juvia's relationship is problematic.
Yeah, okay, so like the worst, like the thing is, the actual like worst fairy tale fan I've ever seen is literally like Zach Rittner, that guy from
Except
Best
Zach
Rittner's
Rittner is
video.
a king, and I
No,
respect.
the thing is
We
that
need at least one toxic.
Yeah,
fan.
and the thing is he's just being very defensive about a series he likes because a bunch of people were shitting on it at the time.
And in his
So,
defense, he was doing it under a really, really, really bad video.
yeah, and it's just like, all right, yeah, so just like that's the worst of it. If you think shipping can like ruin a story, then like, and you haven't heard about Attack on Titan, you should hear about Attack on Titan because it is stupid and wild. Like a character becomes pregnant, and who the father is will like feed in so much of it. Like, oh my fucking god, they were like the two fans, the two like ships, like their families were at each other's throats up till like the final chapter. Oh my god, it was great. It was a party. You should have seen it. And then with Fairy Tail, it's just like it's kind of just like whatever. Like yes, does it tease a romance between Lucy and Natsu? Yes, it does do that sometimes. But it just does it in sort of like a light, like comedic way, where it's just
And
like,
also,
are they dating?
even when they're
Kind of,
not
but no.
officially dating, it feels like they are.
Yeah.
Like one that pops into my head is when Natsu breaks into her house. She's wearing a towel. She kicks him, and he grabs it and like holds her by her leg. And he's like, "Don't do that. It's job time." And Lucy, completely forgetting what's happening, goes, "Job time," and then her towel drops. And it's like, oh, they're just two dumb fucking idiots.
Or like sometimes Natsu just be like, oh, is this just like sometimes I went into Lucy naked in the bathroom and just like, Natsu, don't talk about that. Don't
In
talk about
public.
it. And the thing is, like, obviously that's just a gag about how Natsu invades her house whenever he has a job to do. But like, if you wanted to, you could read it as oh, they did the do thing.
No, it's kind of just like, even though they're obviously not dating, it's like they're so close they may as well be. Also, if you're really whiny about it, Century Quest, it looks like it's going to address that.
It kind of does, I guess.
Only one it's not addressing is Laxus, where they gave him even more love interest.
Oh no, the thing is, I love that in the final chapter they just say like, yes, God, Jill and Levy, what a cute couple. Erza and Jellal, they kind of can't get together. It kind of sucks for them. And then Laxus and Mira, no, not Mira, Kana, no, not Lizana.
Lizana? And then we go to Century Quest, and he gets more love interests.
No, he's just this big hunky man. People love a big hunky man.
It's like who's Laxus gonna date? It's like, who fucking knows? He's got options.
No, like who? Like I feel like it was literally just say, who fucking cares? Stop obsessing about it.
No, because the thing is, like, I get why he mentioned Mira, because he has like he has like a cover where Mira and Laxus are dancing. Lizana is like, I don't know. It's when he patted her on the head. Kana, I feel like he addressed that because the fans liked it, because I don't think you could read Fairy Tail without being like shipping brained and ever thought that was implied.
I don't even think they like exchange a line of dialogue ever. I don't remember.
Sometimes they're like in a panel together or something.
Wow,
I think it's
that's
maybe it's because they both like drinking.
But like,
Kana's like an alcoholic. Laxus is just like a man in his late 20s who likes chugging beer.
I know, it's like, all right. Okay.
Weird. No, and then the One Piece one, the One Piece criticism is, if you bitch about the power of friendship and you defend One Piece, shut the fuck up.
Oh no, the thing is like, there's only one fight that I've described as saying like, yes, it was literally that and nothing else. No like technical explanation or like literal in-universe explanation other than they cared about their friends a lot. Therefore.
Yeah, and that's
even then,
Erza versus.
even then they lampshaded a bit with like just Happy saying like it's because she's Erza. She's just that cool. She's
No,
just
but
that.
Erza in her inner monologue says it's because the light of friendship or whatever. Like that's what she.
Yeah,
can
I know,
see.
but then they like just have to be like that's because she's such a girl boss.
But
She's
like
such a
I do
girl
like this
boss.
how it's like a gag scene where they say that, and Lily and Lecter are like, yeah, that makes sense.
It's like, well, does she have some sort of sixth sense? It's like, no, she's just a girl boss.
No, I love that. And Lecter's like, yeah, dude, you awaken more senses. And Happy's like, counter theory. It's because she's cool. And Lecter's like, damn, that's a valid counter theory.
Like honestly, I feel like if you like Zoro versus Mr. One, Fairy Tail like will literally like have that whole like aesthetic of like friendship is my power and all that, but like they will just pair with something like Natsu has to like eat fire that his friend gave him or
Although,
whatever.
one of the most beloved fairy tale fights of One Piece fights of all time is literally power friendship, and that's Luffy versus Lucci.
Yeah. Well, the thing is
Luffy
like
wins because he loves his friends, and therefore he punches harder
yeah, he just got up again, did a big attack because he cares about
because
his
he
buds.
loves his friends so much.
Yeah.
And it's Kino. It's a great scene. The point is just if you hate power of friendship, apply it across the board.
I guess like just the idea is that like Fairy Tail's a lot, it's way cornier, right?
Which I respect.
Yeah, no, things I do because like it just wears its heart on its sleeve, which is like yes,
No,
we're gonna scream about
if you
this every
dislike
time.
Fairy Tail's power friendship because it's corny, that's fine. But if you criticize it because power friendship exists, period, but then you go on to say Luffy versus Lucci is 10 out of 10, you need to have a little bit of self awareness.
But dude, they just say friendship lets us win. That's the end of the conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like that's annoying. What was the next bad opinion?
Soft magic system's bad.
We don't understand the rules of the
link
game,
our
so we
power
can't play
system
along.
tier list.
Yeah,
It's just like, no, it's not. Let authors do what they want, man. Fuck off. If you
Yeah.
don't like, if you only like hard magic systems, that's fine. But that's fine. Just don't read soft ones. Don't say they're inherently worse. Just say they're not for you.
Yeah. And I guess
If
like to
anything,
be fair,
I'm the opposite. Where like my favorite is like soft with a little bit of rules, like Fairy Tail. When there's too many rules, I'll be honest. I'm an impatient nerd who likes reading comic books. I get bored when there's too much text.
yeah, I just
I want to read touch.
and we're back.
Whoa, all right, we're back. Let's go.
All right, so like yeah, soft magic systems. You know, it's cool that like Dragon Slayer or like Slayer magic comes with like the rules like you can't eat your own thing, but you're kind of immune to your own element in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And it's like yeah, it's neat.
Yeah, no, it's like it has enough rules to be interesting while also being loose enough that you can kind of just fuck around and have fun, which I like. If you
Yeah.
don't like that, that's fine. But like,
I guess like
you should probably
like
like
to be
drop
fair,
it at like chapter 3.
yeah, like I guess like to be fair, like there may be some like certain plot points based around how the magic works that like you know you can't like predict because they can make whatever rules they want as they
Okay,
go.
but that's like a stupid metric to apply to.
I
Every
know
single
it is true, and also like there's plenty that don't like you know that like when you see Seagrain and Jellal in the Tower of Heaven in two different places at once, and it's like there's obviously some connection between them. Maybe they're twins. Maybe it's literally like a thought projection from Jellal or whatever.
Because that's the only magic we've ever seen Seagrain use.
Yeah, so it's just like
you know, you could predict that, or like another one you could predict because I know I did, is Natsu was always called this crazy weird wizard because he attacked by coating his body with magic. He could attack with any part of his body. And then all of a sudden we're fighting Laxus, and wait a minute, he uses lightning the exact same way Natsu uses fire. When he gets mad, lightning even starts to come out the sides of his mouth. That's strange. And it's like, oh, he's a dragon slayer. That makes sense.
yeah.
It's like, oh, you could have predicted that. And when you can't predict them, it's like, that's fine. You need to be able to predict every fucking story beat.
But dude,
And we don't understand the rules of the game, so we can't play along.
if I can't.
Oh.
The thing is, like,
Well,
that sound clip is like literally about the Natsu versus Zancro fight, and I guess like this is kind of like a, like in a way it's kind of like an iffy space because like basically the explanation.
Zonkro? I thought it was about him versus Totemaru.
Oh no, it's Zancro. Basically, like
Okay.
BG's complaint is that like Natsu would like there's this fight, this fire user with really cool fire that Natsu can't eat, but then Natsu just learns how to eat it because he believes in his friend. It's like no, that's not exactly the reason. The reason was because Natsu had to like empty out his own magic reserve to make room because his guy's fire was just so rich in magic power that like he had to like make more room for it in his stomach so they can eat it, right? And so like that.
And it's like that's not the most like like fascinating reason ever, but like,
No, because like again, like it's not like Natsu's magic reserve was ever said to have like a limit or anything. Like
well,
they
I mean,
never
like
talk.
we know that limits exist. Like Ethereon made him throw up.
Yeah, like obviously, just the fact that like all right, they're literally humans and they can run out of magic implies they have a limit. Like they're not just limitless; they can do whatever they want. So like yeah, there's obviously not to some limit. It's just that it never came up in a fight before, and he never was put in a situation like this, and we're never told
So
like,
it's like, oh, that's
what's
not
the
a
exact
perfect
biology
prediction.
of a dragon slayer and what are the rules of what they can and cannot
But it's
eat.
like that's not valid. Like I don't think that's interesting criticism.
No, it's not interesting criticism.
Because
So
like
it's
the
like,
thing is like
can you technically apply
Natsu
it?
versus
Sure.
Zonkro is cool because it's about like Natsu like engaging with fear and what he's afraid of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what else was there on the bad opinions?
The biggest plot hole in all of Fairy Tale is that Ivan called Gajul a double agent upon realizing his betrayal, when technically, upon that reveal, he should say, "Oh, you were a triple agent the whole time."
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Sure.
from Zonkro's or from Ivan's perspective, Gaju was already a double agent working for him. But then the reveal was, oh no, I wasn't working for you. I was working for Makarov, the guy you wanted me to pretend to work for. So it's like, oh, you were not a double agent. You were a triple agent. But he said double
Right.
agent instead.
And it's like,
and I think
whatever.
it's
I
like,
don't
oh,
care.
Mashima, you hack. Get your or translators, you hack. Get your terminology right.
Yeah.
Whatever, whoever's fault it was, there was some problems
Yeah, for
there.
all we know, triple agent as a term doesn't exist in Japan the way it does in America. We don't fucking know. For all we know, all Ivan said was like, "You betrayed me," or like, "You tricked me."
Okay, now to
Oh, I just remembered another small Chad Mashima moment. For almost every character, he applies an official way to spell it in English.
Oh, that's cool.
That's badass. Oda, you should do that fucking Zoro Zolo bullshit.
Pick a side. Pick a
Fucking
side.
Enel, Eneru. Because we're thinking, Puff, I forever thought Enel was official and Eneru was a mistranslation, right?
Yeah.
But then we watched an episode of Skypiea, which is the most recent thing where they say his name, and they call him Eneru in the Japanese. So now I don't fucking know.
Yeah. All right. So like, let's get to some actual criticisms. Like, woo. Like stuff I actually didn't like about Fairy Tale, and maybe you can try and defend it, because whatever's like.
Yeah,
right,
I'll see. Because I don't know what these are.
I said some of them, like Oracion and Seis, kind of sucks because they cut the backstories and like.
No, and I
Lizana's
agree.
can
Oracion
be
Seis was
puzzling.
kind of iffy, and the anime helped it.
Yeah,
Like, I agree. Oracion Seis got hurt by the editors.
Yeah, and like some of them are just like dropped plot points, like why, like Natsu's scarf turning black when he met Zeref the first time. Like I guess the implication.
Isn't that addressed because Layla made it?
Well, yes, it was made
Not
by Layla,
Layla.
and it was, but they never addressed like
Layla.
why or how it can soak up death magic or whatever. Like that never comes up again. And when Natsu fights Zeref in the end, his thing never turns black again. It never happens.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I don't
so,
really
like,
think that's a drop plot point though, because it's like, oh, why did your scarf do that bullshit? Because I think the point is like, his scarf did something weird to Zeref, and we now know that. And then that tells us that there's something magical and weird about Natsu's scarf. And then we learn, oh, it's because this fucking lady made it. And it's like, okay, problem solved.
All right, but
It's like,
I'd say like
could they like have? Could you say that's like Chekhov's gun? I guess.
Yeah, the thing is like I think a more serious one would be like Natsu knowing Wendy, because like at the end of the arc, it's just like, oh no, he didn't. He didn't know Wendy.
I'm fine with that because I think it's just like it's the same reason of like it's the same reason he and Gajio couldn't go through the thing. It's like he doesn't know Wendy, but the name Wendy is familiar to him.
I guess that's.
And it's like,
possible.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, I guess that. Yeah. Okay. So besides that, this is just another small thing. I wish Juvia interacted with Lucy more. Or
I wish Juvia interacted with other guild members more. Where it's like, I get why she interacts with Gray because Gray's dad fucking dies and says, "Hey, take care of my son," and I can see why that would be a lot of baggage for her.
Yeah,
but
or
also,
like,
it's fun when she interacts with other guild members, and
yeah.
I'd like to get more of that.
Yeah. The thing is the whole point, like, or like not the whole point of it, but like half the point of Juvia's character is that she's a femcel, right? So like she's in love with Gray. That's like the main thing, their romance that she has. But also, she's a femcel who like fell in love with the first guy who was nice with her, and like you know, like the sad thing is that she's kind of a lonely girl. It's like I want epic big romance to save my life. I wanna cuddle with a boy every night, and that'll make me happy. But it's like no, you kind of need friends too, and that's why her first big moment, before she joins Fairy Tail, like the first person she actually like makes a connection with is Lucy. Like they do that big team attack, they team up to beat that guy.
And whenever Juvia is close with other people, it's really cool. Like how Juvia helped get Gajil into Fairy Tail because she was really worried about him because they were colleagues,
Yeah.
or how like
And then
she
they team
like
up to
blows
become
herself up, or how she like blows herself up to protect Kana because she feels bad, or like
Melody.
even
Or
just like her
Merity,
little
whatever her name is.
yeah, or
Merity,
like
Melody.
her dynamic with Merity, where she views her like a daughter, even though I'm pretty sure Merity is older than her, is like really cute.
Yeah.
Or like even just small ones, like just Lizana being like, "Oh hey, Juvia, I'll help you with the S class trial," and Juvia like almost crying. Like that's all nice, and I like that. And yeah, I think it's kind of like more character interactions in every series are always fun. I think Juvia is just one of the characters that would benefit the most from it.
Yeah. So like, I wish that happened more. So it's like, yes, if you're a femcel, it's okay to try and find a boyfriend, but also
Mhm.
you're a femcel, make some friends.
Well, I guess to be fair, by the time she stops making friends is when she's
Already like deep
a
in fairy
lot
tale.
closer with Gray.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And okay, this is actually fucked up, and I hate it. You remember like how Serrano got to like reunite with her sister and stuff, right?
Oh, did we never see Hot Eye reunite with his brother?
No! The
Yeah, that
fuck!
stinks. Yeah, that stinks.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that would have been a nice.
The thing is, the Serrano one was added way later into the story, and she got to meet her sister again. But Hadai, who's literally in the same position, they're both from the Oracion place. They both have basically the same motivation, and Hadai is the first one to turn good. Because yes, I remembered I did this for my brother, and I want to try and find him again. And he never gets to see Wally, even though Wally's so cool and funny and cool, and I
Yeah,
want to
that,
see him talk to
yeah.
his Octagon big brother.
Yeah, that would have been
The
nice
fuck
to
was
see.
that?
And
How
ready
did
for
they do that to my boy Hadai?
Puff, are you ready for the ultimate cope?
What's the ultimate cope?
We might just see it in Century Quest.
Shut the fuck up! I should have been in the main series. It was
I know,
important
you're
enough.
saying that, but Century Quest is still written by Mashima. No, I'm just saying, like, that's the best cope, is, like, we can still get it. It's like, yeah, I wish we had it, but also, the fact that we still might get it is, like, exciting.
Okay, Atsuo Ueda, the mangaka, not the anime Jane, the mangaka Janie will clean it up in the
It's not even
spin-off.
manga Jenny, because Mashima is the writer for Century Quest. No, that's why I think Century Quest, I think it's way better than Boruto and Super, and I think the reason is very simple.
It is.
Mashima's the writer, so it's the same fucking main writer.
Yeah, and also another thing is that I just think like Mashima's assistant, Atsuo Ueda, is just like a better illustrator than both of the Boruto and Super.
I think Toyotaro does a great job at matching Toriyama's style, but I don't think he brings much to the table. Whereas Boruto's author is, I think, different, where he has a very cool, unique style, but it doesn't feel like Naruto. The Century Quest guy, fucking menace, who somehow looks a lot like Fairy Tail, but is also like a cracked artist while trying to replicate Fairy Tail.
Okay, the thing is, I don't think he's as good as Mashima, but like when he draws a big spread of a dragon, and it's just like, fuck, that's a really cool dragon. I love the Justice Dragon that's in Chapter 1. I love the big wood dragon.
The sea dragon
Yeah, the sea dragon. Yeah, there's like 3 separate sea dragon panels that look great, and then there's also the gold dragon that was just in like the last chapter. It looks great too because it's like
it's all very fun.
Yeah, really cool and good.
Yeah.
Good.
Are there any other bad opinions?
No, that's pretty much everything. I think I got most of it across.
Go.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a small one we can.
Oh wait, no, one more that I forgot because like it was such a popular one that I literally forgot.
I wanted to say it, but let's see what yours is first.
All the girls are just fan service machines, so they don't get any character development. What are we gonna do? How do we respond?
Fairy Tail has like one of the strongest female casts out of any battle shonen I've ever read. Get the fuck out of here.
The thing is, not even just like in the literal sense, but also just like in the
I mean in the writing sense.
Like even if you think that like Fairy Tail's like more like not as well written as say like One Piece or Naruto or whatever, I'd say like generally the female cast is like given way more focus or like even respected much more than like in either of those series.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair.
Yeah, like it's kind of again with the thing with Erza, like people love Erza a lot, like a lot of normies do, because like it's like, oh, a girl who's like actually as strong as the main character and sometimes stronger than him, depending on what day of the week it is.
And then if you're cool and you have a brain, you're a Lucy stan because Lucy rocks. The one I was gonna bring up is Natsu just wins all of his fights by caring about his friends and getting mad. Where it's like, no. Natsu wins like half of his fights because he's like given a perfectly logical power up.
Yeah.
So it's just like, no, shut
I
up.
guess this is another thing about like the soft magic thing is that, like, can you like predict that like dragon slayers can eventually learn to eat other elements? Not initially, but they introduce it pretty early on with like Ethereon and
Yeah,
stuff.
and Natsu
then
eating
they
Ethereon.
spend
Like, Natsu eating Ethereon does make sense because they say it's every magic, and then Natsu's like, I'll fucking eat that shit. And then Erza's like, hey, dumbass, it's only part fire. And then Natsu throws up, and I assume the parts he threw up were the non-fire parts.
yeah, and then and the thing is like yeah, like could you have like predicted like if we don't understand the rules of the game and all that, but like they introduce it pretty early on, and then the rest of the series starts building off of that idea. Like other people start doing it, and the final villain is literally I am all elements because I'm the perfect dragon slayer who's been alive for a bajillion years.
Yeah. That's actually something a lot of people did predict, including me. Because the first time I saw his roar, I was like, oh, that's the same color as Ethereon. And it's like, oh, it's because he is Ethereon. And then it's like just small shit like that, where it's like, why did he beat Master Zero? Because Jellal gave him all of his fucking magic, and Jellal is stronger than Natsu. Why did he beat Hades? He didn't. It was like a 10v1.
How did he beat Laxus? It's because Laxus's heart wasn't in it, and also it was like
and
a 4v1.
also because Laxus just ran the fucking gauntlet.
4v1.
Yeah, Laxus had to fight so many fucking people, and also he wasted all of his magic on Fairy Law. It's like, that's why, because Laxus was fucking tired.
Like the only...
Why did he beat Gajiel? Because Gajiel was way weaker than him.
Yeah, like, it's kind of funny that a lot of people are like, oh, but he's his rival, but Gajiel's way weaker than later. It's like, no, Natsu is stronger than him in that arc. He fights like 3 guys before Gajiel, and then when he does, it's just like, oh man, he's getting to eat iron and is like getting his stamina back. Well, I'm not. And then the second he gets some, he just wins. He just does.
Yeah,
as soon as
he
gets
just obliterates him. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Or it's kind of just like, yeah.
I think the only like main villain that just like loses in a straight up like 1v1 is in the early arc, what's his face, the Reaper man, Aragorn,
and like that's early enough where it's like we're establishing Natsu's powers.
Yeah, and then
also he wins using science.
Yeah, Aragorn, the Avatar guy, because like literally that was the job. The whole
point of Avatar.
Avatar was the job squad. Avatar was the job squad. So like they job, and then I'd say I wouldn't count Rogue because he had to eat Alice's flames to do that.
Yeah, he ate Atlas's flames and got fucking jacked to all hell.
Yeah, and then I guess Zeref. I guess I'd give it to that.
And even then, like Zeref is like, you probably couldn't have predicted it, but but again, prediction stupid metric. Because it still made sense, because yeah, Natsu being able to burn other people's magic was something that, to my knowledge, started being a technique during Grand Magic games, where he burned off Sting's binding spell, and it's like, oh, Natsu can burn magic besides like wood and ice. That's weird.
Yeah, and like even like before that, like you look at like Gilbert and like his whole magic's like breaking things. He's like Natsu's mentor, and then like what he does is like, oh my god, he actually broke my gravity magic.
Yeah.
How wowza! And then it
also
turns out
being
Natsu
able to
do
affect
this...
other people's magic isn't that weird? Like Gray is able to freeze fire magic. That's not how ice fucking works.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah. So that's it for bad opinions. Is there anything else?
Hold on, let me go back to my list here.
Like, I think after bad opinions, you had like 1 or 2 more things you wanted to say.
No, it was just like with the dumb bad opinions, then my bad opinions.
Nice,
so I guess it's just like, yeah, that's it. We talked about the real anime Jannies. We talked about all the arcs, and we talked about the core main cast. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
Not particularly.
Alright, then I guess video over.
I bookmarked fucking fairy tales so hard. I'm kind of tempted to learn how to edit for the first time in my life just so I can make a video about anything to make my bookmarking worth something.
That's
funny. Yeah, might do that. Yeah, I'll send the picture of the bookmark like tomorrow. I can't right now because I live in a place that's very dark at night, so the lighting would be terrible.
Alright, cool. Now, time for the outro.
Ooh, goodbye and go read fairy tales. Also, like and subscribe.
Alright, yeah, that